On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, the guys talk about some new Hasbro toys and what it's like to drop $350 on figures you already own. They also discuss the new ILM X-Lab VR experience that will take place between TLJ and Tross, as well as the Steelbook bonus for the LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga game. Matt gets a lesson in Thrawn from Nick while talking about the sped-up release of the latest Thrawn trilogy before he informs us all on the new chronological order of the Clone Wars Season 7. Finally, they wrap talking about the Maker coming back to Star Wars, a Battle of the Ages update, fan responses to the question of the week, and of course, the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. Cue the music. Everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Star Wars Time Show. And yes, I'm not shot out of a cannon today, and most of you can probably figure out why. It's not been the best week since our last show here in the United States of America, or these days just the States of America. I think United is a little too strong of a word to use for the kind of the state of our country right now. And this is also why we are not live this week. Nick and I made the choice, like many other media and content creators, to sit Tuesday out in terms of producing a live show, putting it out there on YouTube for our fans to watch, because we're not morons. We stand behind the Black Lives Matter movement, the Blackout Tuesday tag, and that's why you're not getting a live stream. If you don't like it, guess what? Go fuck yourself. I'm taking Seth Rogen's stance on this. I don't know if anyone has looked up his Instagram post. He threw up the Black Lives Matter graphic, and anyone that kind of shot back at him with all lives matter and that type of bullshit, he essentially just said, fuck off, fuck you, leave my page, eat shit. And that's pretty much where at least I stand, and I think Nick also supports that belief for the Star Wars Time Show. So
yeah,
if you are that type of person that thinks this stuff is being blown out of proportion and you're more concerned about all lives matter, hey, it's been nice knowing you. But outside of that, here at the SWTS, you're a fucking scumbag. Okay? So there is my thoughts on all that. But we still wanted to do a show this week, because we know, there's a lot of fuckery going on in this country and around the world in general. There is still a pandemic raging. People are still locked up. People are still out of work. So our two dumbasses, we make our very small contribution each week to those fans that have decided to, use some of their free time during this fucked up era, if you will, in humanity, to listen to us. So we are here. We are going to do the show. We're just not doing it live. If you're listening now, we will have the video version up on YouTube. It's just not going to be the live stream with the group of a-holes sitting in the chat joining us. And I do miss the a-holes. But I think we made the right move today, Nick. But unless you have anything you'd like to say, let's get off the politics stuff, the fucked up situation that we're dealing with in America right now, and let's talk about some Star Wars.
Yeah. For the little bit of time that we can, take away from the madness of society right now, we hope that we can at least, do that for some people, is allow you to take your mind off of craziness and all the shit going on. So let's, dive into it.
We'll get into it. And I'm telling you, it does not feel like a normal show today. I'm speaking for myself. I think Nick feels the same way. You're probably not going to get the same piss and vinegar out of the Haywood Pop here. Yes, I am referring to myself in third person. That's how we roll. I don't know. I don't quite have it in me today, but I still wanted to talk some Star Wars because there are a few things to get into, especially for those of you that like to collect things. So, Nick, let's just get right into it. We got, at least for people like me, it was an expensive week last week thanks to a few reveals. But before we get to those, and I'm talking $350 worth of expense on some new Black Series, but before we get to those, we'll go to really what got me into toy photography, the community that we've kind of latched onto and has latched onto us here at the SWTS, and those are Funko Pops. And we got some glamour shots, some pre-order information for 4 new Pops, all headed to GameStop, I believe. And they're Pops based on video games, which makes a lot of fucking sense, right? GameStop, at least for now, still sells video games, right?
I was gonna say this this new shift for them. Maybe they're trying to get their business model in line.
They really have, because they own ThinkGeek, or they bought ThinkGeek, and they kind of moved some of the collectible stuff into the stores. But I mean, I still think they're floundering. And in the end, let's be real. I don't know if you're a disc guy. I don't think you are. I think we talked about this, but
not anymore. Yeah,
those of you and your discs, you better just give that fascination up, that OCD need to collect discs or steel books, because with this pandemic, the virus, this, that, and the other thing, I think that's going to just naturally squash this medium, period.
I mean, dude, here's an example that I actually just came across this weekend. It was kind of funny. My parents were down, last week. They brought over a bunch of old DVDs and stuff like that from my house in Louisiana. So they brought it over, and I was going through it, and I actually had 2 VHS tapes in there. And
Star Wars, right?
One of you saw it. One of them was it wasn't the original trilogy. It was the making of. It was the original VHS making of Star Wars. It's called From Star Wars to Jedi: Making of the Saga. And I'm like, holy shit! I completely forgot that I had this, and now I have no way to watch it.
Pretty much.
I have this black rectangular box of content that I would love to sit down and watch, but I have no physical way to watch.
I know
the
what
only
to do.
way.
Pull the tape out really gently.
Yeah.
Tie one end to one of your cat's tails. You wrap the other end around the pencil, so it's kind of like a film reel, and then hold it in front of your window and tell your cat to start running. So it starts pulling the film across the window real fast, and then hopefully you can see the moving images make a picture.
Yeah, that's about it.
Did you did you even try to go on eBay or something to look for a VHS player?
Not yet. I was actually about to say that. That's the only way that I'd be able to find one. Is I have to go to VHS. I'd have to go to eBay, or I'd have to go to some sort of antique thrift store.
Find a parallel universe where Circuit City or something is still open selling VHS players.
Yeah, that's the only thing is I have to find a VHS DVD combo or something.
I never even heard of it. So they made this back in in the 80s or the 70s?
Oh yeah, I mean let me look it up here because I don't know the exact date.
How's that? I mean, we hit a tangent as soon as we introduced the topic. Jedi. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, From Star Wars to Jedi: Making of the Saga. Original release date December 3rd, 1983. So this literally came out.
Yeah, because there's that big ass 2.5 hour long Empire of Dreams that. I think they made that for the first ever Blu-ray offering of the saga. The saga as it was, just the prequels and the originals.
Yeah. Now,
did they use some of that footage, or is this thing kind of its own little standalone archival nugget?
Dude, I can't even tell you because it's been so long since I've watched this. I physically cannot remember what's on it. I mean, this was a PBS documentary that was made in tandem with the making of Return of the Jedi. It's an hour and 5 minutes long. I probably watched it 2 times because that was when I still had a VHS player, but now I don't anymore. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. They may have included some of that in. Yeah,
you would think because I mean they use a lot of old footage in that documentary, which I kind of felt like watching again. I know I watched it in 2009 or whenever the Blu-ray was released, but it's been a while. I mean, I'm not good at math, so it's been at least 20 years. I don't know. I want to check it out again. I've been. And we're going to talk about this, but we got a little George was mentioned in, I think, episode 4 of Disney Gallery Mandalorian. It's these days, anytime I hear George mentioned or we get to see him showing up on a set or a production like Mando, I can't get enough of it. So that's a tease. We'll be talking about some Georgie Porgy stuff later on, but I want George back in my Star Wars life, dude. I do. I don't know what it is. which is odd because at one point in time I was kind of glad that he relinquished the rights and someone was going to start making content again. But, and I'm not saying I hate everything Disney has done. I mean, I have issues. We've talked about it, but I want the maker to come back. And,
yeah, I think we talked a little bit about this off mic.
Yeah,
kind of
and again,
Slack
I'm just
channel.
teasing a segment we got coming up because this will be the gist of it. But I mean, that's kind of. I got a feeling from watching this Mando thing that he might do it. I think he might do it, and I'll explain later. But that's our tease. So let's go ahead and get back to these new Funko Pops. Which, dude, I have to add. I mean, if I didn't swear off the line, I would probably snag all 4 of these because these are. In particular, the Revan and the Malik. I mean, these are some fantastic little chibi pop figures.
Oh yeah, I mean the Revan and the Malik in particular. I mean it's not really the Purge Trooper Jedi.
They call him. I
Jedi.
think it's the Shadow Trooper.
Yeah, Shadow
from
Trooper.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah, they have a lot of Force Unleashed memorabilia coming out through GameStop, but I mean for me the Revan is almost like if you're going to get anything from this line, if you're going to get any one of these 4, it has to be the Revan. The Malik looks okay. I mean, Malik was never like a visually captivating character like Revan is.
Right, he's what, Lockjaw from James Bond? What's that villain's name? He was essentially Steeljaw, or there's even a He-Man character that looks like, maybe the He-Man character is Lockjaw.
Yeah, I think Jaws was just the guy
that makes sense. There you go.
James Bond.
That works.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, that Revan dude, look, he's got the 2 sabers. He's holding the one backwards like he does. I mean, obviously the different colored sabers. It's a perfect pop, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm still not going to get it. I have sworn these off, and trust me, I've made up for it in spades spending on other lines. But, I mean, they're great. Even a hooded Yoda, man. I mean, a hooded Yoda, that's hard to come by. You don't see Yoda in a hood very often.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see him in a hood very often in the movies either. It's like 2 times in the films you get to see him wear a hood, and it's in AOTC right before he flips the hood off and starts to fight Dooku, and then same thing with.
He wasn't even wearing the hood though, was he? He just kind of throws off his robe
it was
or whatever.
Just at the end of episode 3 where he flips the hood and then fights. What's his name? Sidious.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean these look really cool. I like the Force Unleashed Trooper. I like the coloration of it. That blue really does make it pop, make it unique. So that one looks nice. If you're still into the pop line, if you still either take pictures or just use them for any sort of display, these are all pretty top notch. I have to say, I only own a few of these pops, but I may. And let's not lie, I'm not going to do it. But these are very enticing.
Come on, Nick, do it for me. I want to live my old pop obsession through you. The pre-order link is up. It's supposed to ship July 20th if GameStop is still around by July 20th. You never know. But fear not, collectors. If you're not into pop stuff, Hasbro dropped all sorts of bombs on us last week. I don't know if this was Wednesday or Thursday, but it was a busy day for someone like myself. Not only wanting to cover all these reveals, but also coveting the reveals and wanting to make sure that I got my scores in, right? I mean, I wanted to get the information out there, but I also wanted to get my pre-orders in before everyone else because, I mean, I need my figures. I don't give a shit about the rest of you. But we got all sorts of reveals from Hasbro, and excuse me, you're going to see my new cat, Leia, here, the pig, the gas pig, walking around.
Oh.
Up on the desk, kind of making it a pain right now to get stuff done. I'm going to knock her out. But this would happen last week, Nick. So some of these figures we knew were coming, some we didn't. The one thing we really didn't know was the package change. So what we're looking at right now is the new packaging for Star Wars Black Series. All right, Leia, you're done. That's enough. Come here, you little piggy. Let go of my shirt. Thank you. And she's got the worst gas of all time, my friends. So I'm not only like trying to be professional here, moving a cat, but I'm gagging inside because this little cat, I don't know if it's the food or what, but
she may be getting maybe the switch of food from whatever she was foraging out in the streets.
We also think she may be knocked up too. So not only did we adopt a stray cat, but we might have adopted a stray kitten mommy cat.
Oh, pregnant cats.
Or the boy cat we adopted has already banged her and she got pregnant under my roof. So
that could happen.
Yeah, yay me and yay all this fun stuff.
Yeah, spays and neuters coming soon for
that's the problem,
stripes.
man. I mean, we're not idiots. The day we pulled him in, we called the vet, but because of COVID, everything's backed up. So we can't even get him in till next week.
Yeah.
So I've been following her around to make sure there's no, red stuff coming out to where she's in heat but who knows? She either has an eating disorder, as in she's fucking obese, or she's got some kittens in her gut, because this thing has exploded since we picked her up 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you may have little Ray, Kylo, and some of the other Finn, Poe.
Please no. 2 is plenty. I don't know how you deal with 2 cats and a dog. I mean, every day now I spend the first 30 minutes cleaning shit boxes and feeding and water. And,
That's kind of how it is. I wake up in the morning and I give them all treats. All 3 of the animals get treats at the same time. I go clean out the litter boxes. I refill water bowls. I go put food in the bowls that need them. But yeah, I mean, if she is pregnant, then you will have some adoption.
Please. Please. I'm not keeping any of them. 2 is enough. Although I'll probably have to keep one because I do have a little girl and there's no way she's going to let me get rid of all the kittens. But anyways, kind of back to the Star Wars stuff. Sorry. At least her name was Leia, right? So we're always Star Wars here at Star Wars Time Show. There's always time for Star Wars time. But back to these Black Series reveals, Nick. So the big thing, not so much were the figures, it was Hasbro has completely changed the boxes. Gone are the kind of plain Jane black and red with the numbers on the side, which I know box collectors love. Those of you that still have that fucking OCD in your head that says you can't open your figures and enjoy them. You loved lining up all your numbers. All your red numbers went up to 110, 115. Well, that's gone now in favor of art. And really, Nick, the art, if you see some of these images, I'm pulling them up on the video version.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and they make scenes. You got Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. They're both blue. But if you stitch them together, there's kind of a mural behind them. Then you got Akbar and Tebow, same thing. You kind of get a mural of ROTJ, and then obviously Mandalorian, so on and so forth. So that was really the big shock, I guess, if you can say that, Nick. I mean, us toy collectors, we're pretty easy to blow our minds. So just seeing the new boxes was kind of like, whoa. But I think what at least caught me off guard was the fact that they're finally getting ready to release the Zeb. The Zeb is the only one of the Phoenix Squadron, the Ghost Crew. I got a lot of people like, who's Phoenix Squad? Why do you call them Phoenix? I was like, what fucking show were you guys watching?
Yeah, no, that's what they're called in.
Once they officially join the rebellion, they are the Phoenix Squadron.
I mean, also, Swago, if you play Swago, they are definitely Phoenix Squadron there.
Come on, give me a break. But Zeb was finally revealed. He is coming out. He's retailed for $30. All these are up for pre-order. I don't know if they're sold out yet, but I got each one, Nick. Everything we're looking at right now in the video version of the cast, I have on pre-order, and the bill it was about $350. Hefty
pre-order.
So we're talking the Vader. I got 2 of these Lukes now because he comes on the card back. I got the Zeb. I got the Tebow, the Akbar, the 2 of the Star Wars Camino Troopers, 2 of the new Imperial Stormtroopers, 2 Mandalorian full Beskar. What else? I mean, what else do you need to know? Oh yeah, Ahsoka Tano, already own her, bought her again.
Got it.
Sabine
again.
Wren, already own her, bought it again. Ezra, already own him, bought it again. And Kanan, already own him, bought it again. Hera, are you guys getting kind of the flow here? All the way down the chopper. So yeah, it was an expensive day, but kind of a fun day for collectors, Nick. I mean, I was on there. I kind of posted my bill, and other people chimed in like, oh, yeah, dude, I was 400, 500. I got some other people who are like, oh, yeah, I was up to 800. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And these are like the Rust Belt collectors, those that love to build their trooper armies. So
double and triple of all of these figures brings you up to that. But I mean, dude, it's insane. And I agree. Like, the thing that really stood out to me the most was the fucking box art. The box art just takes it to the next level. Like, I don't understand how there would be people that didn't like this.
Well, it's like I said, collectors are weird, and people legitimately loved just the uniformity of having all those red boxes with a black number lined up on bookshelves and I'm not making fun of these people because I used to be a box guy. It wasn't until the Funko Pops to where I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not keeping the shit that I spend all my money on in a box. It's coming out. So everything comes out now. And these days, I even throw out the fucking boxes. I know.
Well, now you may have to keep them.
I know. Chill out. No, these are getting tossed. The only boxes I keep at this point in time are for figures that are $100 or more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if I do ever need money and I need to sell this like crack to other plastic crackheads, sometimes they like the box and that could, bring the value up a couple bucks. So I do keep the expensive shit. But these, Nick, I get you, man. I do like these more artistic boxes. They're very Marvel Legends like, and apparently it was done to save on plastic and the size of the box, I guess. So I'm all for that. But yeah, I'll throw these out too. And really, did I need to buy all these? Probably not, but I still contend that they did the photo reel on the Phoenix Squadron, which they didn't get that the first time around, so I had to do it. I couldn't just... I couldn't be happy with my old Phoenix Squadron knowing that there are slightly better versions out there, so...
Does the Sabine Wren helmet come off?
Yes.
And you get to see her face?
Yep. Helmet comes off. You can see her face. It's Sabine and Ahsoka. They're not spot on. I think Hera is probably the best.
I would say Hera looks really good.
Right.
I mean, I know we've always talked about like with alien figures, you can get away with a little bit more and it's easier to make the look.
Yeah.
But I think that even Ezra looks pretty good.
Ezra's improved. There's no doubt about it because like his original, he looks a little derpy, but improved. I was still hoping to get season 4 Ezra with the shaved head or season 3. When did he cut his hair? I think by 3 he cut
his hair is down. Yeah.
I like the shaved head, but I'm sure it'll come out again, and now I'll own 3 Ezras. So
yeah, you'll have all 3.
If Nick's in the market for the derpy looking version of the Ghost Crew, I'll go ahead and flip him my busted looking versions once the new ones show up. But
what you should do is like, I know that you're looking for like more simple setup, something that you could do for a phone. You should do side by sides with all of these.
Oh yeah.
And then show like, look how fucking just like look at the difference.
That's all right.
With the photo.
Star Wars Black Series, like the Mega account on IG, he already did that for us, so we're good. Okay. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I mean, at this point in time, IG and I have fallen out of favor over on the Haywood Pop side of things. I haven't done a new toy shoot in 2 or 3 weeks. I don't even feel like editing shots, and it's been nice. Like, I'm not even going to bitch about it. It's been nice to kind of get away from that platform and it essentially taking its fist and ramming it up my asshole every time I post an image.
You need to do like an everything Kyle. Remember when Jesse was just gone? We're like, man, what the fuck happened to Jesse? And Jesse was just gone for like 2 months.
Yeah, and look what he did. He learned how to build dios like a pimp and scored himself an ad deal with Hasbro.
So that's what you need to. You need to just take some time, whether it be just completely away from photography, whether it be take some time to learn Photoshop. That's something you could do. Oh,
damn you, Nick. How dare you say that? That's sacrilegious.
You've been talking about doing
now
it
you
for
sound
so
like
long.
Hank Hustle, the stunt guy. Every day he's like, dude, just start using Photoshop. You suck. You're a pussy. Just use the right thing. It'll look better. Even yesterday, he's like, you should start doing, real blood shots or like blood splurts. I'm like, dude, I could put out some magic. And at this point, my account is so funky. It doesn't matter. I'm happy these days to get 300-400 likes. I mean, fine, I'll take it. I threw up a Mando and Child last night. Did all right. Had to do it during a toy session, so it feels like cheating. But fuck it. I can't care anymore, Nick. I just can't care.
I think that's what you need. You're almost at 500. You're at 480 likes on that one.
There we go.
What you need to do is you need to take time, take a month, take 2 months. Don't post anything. Maybe you throw something up and say like, hey, taking a little bit of a hiatus for some mental stability, mental relaxation, learn a little bit of Photoshop, and then you come back and then you reveal your new skill.
Oh, you think I'm going to blow people's minds and IG's going to be like, oh, these 5,000 or so people that voluntarily followed this guy, maybe we should show them his shots. You think that?
I will say that, dude, that actually, not even just on social media, but other platforms, stuff like that, when people take a hiatus and then they come back, their first time back always gets a ton of reaction.
Well, I don't think I will be that sorely missed. In fact, as I have Uatu explained a few weeks back when they were talking about our show and my account on the 1/6 pack, he's like, I don't even know when Matt posts because IG completely hides it from me. Like, he has to go and manually look if he wants to see my shit. So they wouldn't even know that I took a break. That's the sad thing. It'd be business as usual on IG. So anyways, these are kind of staggered release, Nick, all these figures. I mean, I think a bulk of them are dropping in July. A bulk are dropping October, some end of summer. And I got them all. It doesn't mean I'm actually going to do photography with them anymore. These days, I tend to just like buy new shit. And then if you could see my entire HQ down here, I just lay it on a table.
You're building the SWT museum.
There you go. Yeah. It's up there now for my kid to play with and lose accessories, and the cats to get up at night and swat shit around and also lose accessories. So, but all these are out there. I mean, I think if you know your toy stores, you can probably find most of these still on pre-order. We typically link to Entertainment Earth because we are an affiliate, so we do get a little commission for me to buy more figures to talk about. So if you use that link here, we would appreciate that. But these are out there for pre-order. I mean, the hot one, you know what that was. That was full Beskar Mando. Apparently that one went very fast right on Hasbro's actual site. But I think you can still get them from BBTS, Entertainment Earth, stuff like that. So it was an expensive day, but a fun day. I still, even at almost 40 years old, Nick, seeing new figures and having the opportunity to blow lots of money on them still makes me happy, even in this shitty world we live in now.
Yeah, everybody needs little things like this to be able to pull them through
retail
the shit
therapy,
show
brother. It was fucking retail therapy. There's no doubt about it. I just wish I could have got some in my hands, but
look, dude, the one thing that's getting me through right now is we just had our barbecue grill delivered.
Oh, yes, dude. I grill every night. You're right. That's the way to do it.
Dude, so we have to assemble it. So it was not pre-assembled.
Oh no.
We have to assemble it, and then that'll take some time, and then after that we can start.
Did you get traditional, or did you get like one of those flat top hybrids where you kind of have like a griddle and then you have the grill, or you just go old school?
So this one's like a charbroil. I think it is what you're talking about, where it's an infrared grill. That's what they call it. Like you still have your grill, like your regular griddle plates, but under it there's like a heat spreader. So it's supposed to help like with distribution of heat across your entire grill, and it also helps prevent flare-ups that happen. When you're grilling with shit with a lot of fat on it. You have flare-ups, stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
I think I might be getting one for Father's Day. It's supposed to be a surprise, but. My wife has me organize her smartphone photos because she doesn't and has lost a lot of stuff that she likes. But she forgets when I do that, anything she takes a screenshot of is counted as a photo. So I see a lot of the weird shit like she tries to remind herself about. I'm not going to get into that, but I saw a bunch of grills out there. So I think I might be getting a new grill. And it's time because right now I'm cooking on one of those vintage hillbilly style rusted out like belly grills, like it almost looks like a smoker, but there's rust everywhere. I'm sure I'm eating lead anytime I put meat on it, but still tastes good.
Oh yeah. I was close to getting one of those like Traeger wood pellet grills that are like $1,000, but I was like, I cannot justify that for my first grill purchase.
Fuck that. And I'm like, listen, I know there's like charcoal enthusiasts out there. Fuck all that, man. Just propane it up. Fuck it. Mm-hmm. I don't get the charcoal movement. I mean, it tastes like lighter fluid. Literally, when you eat charcoal cooked meat, I know like professional cooks can use it, but I'm talking like assholes like me and Nick. We're out there trying to light the motherfuckers. We'll spray half a bottle of lighter fluid on the shit, light it up just to get the mushroom cloud. And then essentially your entire grill surface tastes like fuel.
Yeah, it tastes like lighter fluid. It just ruins it. But yeah, like, professional chefs, or if you go to like a professional barbecue joint, they're probably using wood fire grills.
Oh yeah.
They may be using charcoal
they're not using
grills.
Charcoal or I'd maybe get into smoking and shit like that, but propane's just so easy. I wish I didn't buy my house new like you guys, but I wish my house came with an underground gas line.
Natural gas.
Right.
Yeah, natural gas.
So I could just have it permanently set up, because that is one of the biggest pains in the asses about grilling with propane is the fear of running out and not having a spare, because I don't know if people buy 2 tanks, because the way tanks work, right? They're more expensive if you just buy a tank versus if you bring an empty one back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's well worth bringing an empty one back. I mean, it knocks like $30-$40 off. So, well, there's a tangent for you. I don't know where the fuck we're going with that, but hey, this is the Star Wars Time grilling show.
Yeah, I'll give you a review of the grill as soon as we use it.
We'll see the first thing Nick burns the shit and they have to eat just so they don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to have a good transition on this one, but we did get some interesting news coming out of the ILM X Lab group, Nick, last week, and that is the fact that they are working on a new VR experience. So think Vader Immortal. It's kind of what we call VR these days. It's not technically a game, but it's an experience. But anyways, ILM X Lab, which tons of fucking pimp ass people work there. They make some killer looking shit. So I have no doubt that this thing will be cool. I just wonder these days what type of reception it's going to get due to the setting. But they announced a new VR experience is going to expand the Age of Resistance mythos. So yes, that is the sequel trilogy, and it's called Star Wars Tales from the Galaxies. And
Tales from Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. And it's going to be set in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And really, from what I read, Nick, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're essentially going to be taking on a no-name member of the Resistance. You're going to be operating on Batuu, which is where Galaxy's Edge is at, the park. And you're kind of interact with old and new classic. I don't think classic characters. I think mostly Resistance characters.
Yeah, like older Resistance characters and stuff like that.
New and old characters from the films, and will allow players to immerse themselves in their own adventure on Batuu. And this is coming exclusively to the Oculus device family. But I do think like Vader Immortal eventually did, a year later almost, Nick? It'll probably get ported over to other platforms like PSVR. So all we have now, dude, is the first screenshot, and not much you can work on outside. Like, hey, that looks good, and I think it would kind of look cool in VR.
Yeah. VR is one of those things that I think we talked about it a couple of casts ago that I still haven't really gotten into just because of the requirements needed to do it. But I'm so like I want to play Vader Immortal, but I also don't want to spend $400, $500 on a VR headset that I'm only going to use once to play Vader Immortal. I mean, if content like this keeps coming out, then it'll get a little bit more interesting, a little bit more enticing for me to go out and get one. But I mean, for me, in terms of this game in particular, Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge, it's interesting. It is really cool because I'm not a hater of the sequel trilogy. And in fact, I want there to be more context between TLJ and TROS, because I think that there could be a world where TROS is made better by content.
You mean you didn't get enough of that in Fortnite?
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, it was tough. It was tough to not be satisfied.
Right, man. Hey, Fortnite already gave us a story in between TLJ and TROS, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking shooting me in the heart.
That's still my favorite.
I actually like just threw out a flyer and I tweeted at Dave Filoni. Of course, he did not respond, but I tweeted at Dave Filoni. I was like, is there any realm of possibility where there is an animated series that happens between TLJ and TROS that could give more context to TLJ?
Yeah, and he looked at it and he said, go fuck yourself, asshole.
Yeah, he was like, he probably fucking blocked me on Twitter. He's like,
yeah, I'm Dave Filoni. I'm working on the good shit.
Yeah, so but I'm intrigued by it. You know, one of the books that I'm reading right now is Resistance Reborn, which is a novel that takes place in between TLJ and TROS. As far as I've gotten, it's basically we're following Snap Wexley and his wife, and they are now talking to Wedge Antilles
Snap,
and his
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Snap.
He went down in flames, man.
It was like JJ was like, I bet it was Greg who was said, you know, we need him to die. We need fucking Snap to go out, be a hero of the Resistance. But yeah, I mean, the book is really interesting, kind of a recruiting mission so far. but I think that there is a lot of good content to be
Yeah,
had.
I
between these two
mean,
movies.
I just, sometimes I play the devil's advocate, and I want to put out that I don't hate what Disney has done. I don't necessarily hate the movies in the sequel trilogy. What I hate is how the sequel trilogy was handled and how the overarching narrative ended up, because it ended up turdy. It's like whatever. It is a big whatever narrative. I mean, the movies themselves, you can kind of glean some good stuff and nuggets out of there, but really the arc from 7 to 9, it's like, okay, we didn't really achieve much here. We didn't really add a ton of lore for even the old people, the new people. It is what it is, but I'm a fan of tech. I'm a fan of ILM X Lab. I've seen what they can do. I've gone to the Void. I've worn the vest and done I forget what it's called, like Shadow of the Empire. It's a fantastic experience. Nick and I talked about a few episodes back. I will play Vader Immortal once it hits the PSVR, I think in a few weeks, actually. So I'm all for this if it gets ported over. I'm not someone that's going to be like, oh my God, they're putting out a Star Wars game. I'm going to go buy the Oculus. I mean, if I didn't do that for Vader, I'm not doing it for fucking Batuu.
Yeah, I mean, Oculus Quest is the only one that I would want. Oculus Quest, let's see how much it's retailing for right now.
That's the fully standalone, right? Like everything,
yes.
It's untethered. You don't need a PC. It runs locally.
Yes, there's no wires. Everything is done on the headset itself. It is $550. So I'm not going to spend that much money.
Has that even budged then? Like that hasn't even moved, has it?
I'm not sure. I don't think that there has been much of a change in the price.
Which is odd because, and I'm someone when VR kind of came back to the forefront of game design, I was still in the gaming media through entertainmentboo.com. I was out there testing all the shit, and I did love it. I mean, there are some great VR games these days. There's some great stuff for PSVR, but once again, like the medium even decades ago when it tried with the half-ass type of VR stuff. It just, if the software isn't there, if there aren't people making the right type of software for virtual reality, it dies out almost instantly. Like I have no need to ever put my
$400. Okay. $400. Okay.
I have not.
But yeah, I agree.
I have not thrown on my PSVR in probably a year, and I don't care about it. I don't feel bad about it. I will do it when I get Vader Immortal, but even then, I'm already sitting there like, fuck, Nick, I'm gonna have to like get up and plug a cable in, because with the PSVR, you gotta hook the PlayStation into the VR unit, and then the VR unit goes to your TV or your receiver or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like too lazy to even do that now. It's like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's such a fucking, like, and I remember when you first got it, because when you first got it, you were pretty high on it.
Yes.
But the thing that you called out the most, you were like, dude, watching Netflix on it is really cool.
It is, because, I mean, at least through the PSVR, they had it set up, and that was back when PlayStation sold their TV service. It was awesome. I could have essentially... imagine if you were sitting in the front or second row of a movie theater. I could have that size of screen slapped right to my fat face.
Yeah.
It was neat. I mean, your head would start to go numb about an hour and a half into a movie, and you might see some shit, but it was a cool visual. And really, PSVR, I think it's called Farpoint VR, one of the most action intense. I even had a gun. It was one of the coolest fucking VR games I've ever played, but no one ever made another game for that gun accessory. I really think the only other VR game I'd want to play at this point that I haven't touched is Beat Saber. And that's just because it's like a fucking music rhythm game.
Yeah, it's basically like Guitar Hero for VR.
Yes,
like,
yes. You hold the cones and sit there and look like a spastic person, but it looks fun. It looks like a lightsaber. I mean, that's why they call it Beat Saber. So naturally, my Star Wars loving ass would be drawn to it. So
yeah, we'll
see. I mean, Nick will go out and buy this Oculus, and he'll report on Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. But hey, at least they're doing something. I mean, and it's ILM X Lab. I think that's what should give everyone the most confidence that if you do have this tech, this probably will be a worthwhile experience.
Yeah. I think Vader Immortal has been so well received by both the players and the critics that this one is likely to be a success as well, as much of a success as you can have in the VR game. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have a PSVR, if you don't have a Quest, if you don't have a Rift, you really have to weigh the pros and cons of like, yeah, I get to have this awesome Star Wars VR experience, whether it be with Vader Immortal or Tales from Galaxy's Edge. But is it worth me paying, $500, $600 for a VR headset that I'll use 2 times? So,
got to make those decisions. It's like me. Last week I was weighing it. Do I need to buy 5 figures I already own? Yes.
The answer was yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I need to spend at least $100 to do that. So we actually have other game news here, and this is kind of one I already shit on, but I know there's still a lot of people that like to collect discs. And we got word that Best Buy will be offering a steelbook case for Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which I believe is still due out this October. We don't have a firm date, but this is going to have all 9 Skywalker films. You can dive into any saga at any time to experience them. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to buy it. I actually just fired up the Xbox 360 version of the complete Star Wars Saga Lego. Like, we're talking to where, Nick, I don't know if you remember, but when Lego games started, they didn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, the animations, they were still kind of cute and cheeky, but they didn't have voices. So I threw that on to play with Charlie to see if she's at the level to where she could even do that. She's not.
Not quite.
No, she didn't quite
skills.
take to the control scheme like my 4-year-old nephew did when he was her age.
Yeah.
But we kind of played through episode 1, level 1. Just I'm trying to get her, exposed to this gaming stuff for when this thing comes around, and maybe she can work that joystick a little bit better. But the whole joystick, navigating a character with one joystick, did not compute.
Yeah, I mean, navigating a character with one joystick even now is kind of a foreign concept.
Well, I mean, that's how the Lego is. It's like you only move them with the left, and she was having a hard time with that. I mean, she's got little tiny hands holding a big Xbox controller. But we got through the first level without me wanting to rip her head off. So that was because I'm the worst person to play games with. Like, I've broken a 65-inch 3D TV playing Mario with my wife, throwing a water bottle, not at the TV. I threw the water bottle so forcefully. It was sealed. I threw it so forcefully at my coffee table. It hit right at the right corner, popped the bottle, and it took off like a fucking water rocket all over the TV. And there was enough water that dripped right down into that LED panel and see you later. So
no, the only time that I've ever actually I didn't even hit the TV. It was when the Wii first came out. You remember when the Wii Joy-Cons?
You were one of those guys fucking throwing your Wii controller at your TV because you didn't have it strapped on, right?
I was playing Wii Bowling and I was like, oh well, I don't need it. I fucking I went back and I threw you bowl, and I threw the controller and it hit the wall right above the TV, and I was like, fucking thank God.
No, not me. I've been breaking stuff because of video games since the NES days. The first thing I remember is taking an NES controller, swinging it like a lasso, and then whacking my little CRT TV and breaking the knobs off. The next one was a good one. This one essentially got the Nintendo taken for a few weeks. I was playing Batman 1989. I'll never forget it. And anyone else that played that game on Nintendo, you probably did something similar because that game fucking cheated. But I took my elbow, no shit, might have been 8 years old, right through my drywall in my bedroom.
Oh, man.
Massive fucking hole. So that was a quick cut. Xbox 360, I've said this before, I spent upwards of $350, $400 on controllers, from biting them, throwing them, squeezing them, chest pressing them. But I've gotten over a lot of that ever since this generation that we're currently in, that's about to be trumped here. I hate using that word. About to be overtaken by the PS5 and Xbox. What the fuck do they call it now?
Series X. Xbox X.
Who the fuck works in their PR these days?
Yeah, I know. Come on.
I mean, thank God Sony just realized that chronology is fine. Just
fucking numbers.
Go up. But whatever. Ever since this current generation that's about to be overtaken, I got away from the whole breaking, biting, and smashing shit.
The only thing I did break a mouse one time out of frustration with a game, because I play on PC sometimes. I still have a really good PC that I play games on, and once I literally just it was a wired mouse too. It wasn't even a wireless. I just took the mouse and I threw it, and it hit a wall, and it just shattered into pieces. So like video games are frustrating endeavors, especially if you care.
Oh
like,
yeah, and that's the thing. But I need to learn sometimes when I'm playing with a 4-year-old and my wife that they don't care as much as I do.
Yeah.
And when they can't, walk or read my mind or just like another gamer would, that I shouldn't sit there and want to, like I said, rip their throats out. I mean, there is a point playing Lego Star Wars Complete Saga this weekend where I wanted to take my kid and my wife and just smash their heads together. Like, that's how fucking crazy I am when it comes to games. But
just fucking
walk. That's exactly what it was like. Just fucking follow me, please. I can't move unless you're within my tether zone. Damn it. Just fucking move. But anyways, those of you that like your discs for games, Best Buy will be offering a Steelbook case, and it is a good-looking Steelbook. I mean, I'm not going to get it, but I know there's Steelbook junkies out there, and it's little Lego Han and Carbonite.
Yeah, if you're going to do a Steelbook, this is the way to do it.
This is the way to do it. Best Buy has it out there. We do have the link. It doesn't show the Steelbook, but if you read the fine print, which I know is hard for most humans these days, it does say Steelbook at the top, and they are offering it for all 3 versions of the game.
Nice.
And
there we go.
We do have an actual Star Wars game show coming, Nick. Actually, if you're listening today, release day for SWTS 113, it should be out there right now on StarWarsKids.com or Star Wars Kids YouTube. And that is Ahmad Best, a.k.a. Jar Jar Binks, Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge. So, a few things interesting here, Nick, that I want to talk about on this. Not that I think this is appointment TV for you and I. I mean, I'm definitely going to check it out tomorrow. I think my kid would love it.
I think that's going to be
Plus, I want to get some, Double Dare nostalgia from my Nickelodeon days as a youth. But this show was supposed to be Disney Plus.
Yeah, it was. I remember when we first reported this was supposed to be on Disney Plus, and I don't know what has happened between then, but it's now Star Wars Kids YouTube and StarWarsKids.com.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't really even say the pandemic because it looks like it was all shot, right?
Yeah, it was all done.
Because they wouldn't. It's not like, oh, we can shoot it cheaper on YouTube. No, YouTube's just a distro platform. I honestly think it's either maybe when they initially tease it, there wasn't enough of a reaction that they were like, oh shit, can we really charge people money for this? Or it could be people. The world is so fucked right now. There's so many people locked up. There's people without money. Let's just just give them this for free at this point.
Yeah, I could see that being the reasoning behind it. Because I don't know why else you would reveal it for Disney Plus and then not put it on there. It's not like it costs you anything to do it. You are the distributor and the producer. Like, the only thing that they would be worried about is that they wanted to reveal it to or give it to a bigger audience through YouTube and, give kids something to watch during this pandemic, during a period of time where there's a lot of strife and possibly money is an issue. So I'm all for it. I'm okay with it coming to Star Wars Kids YouTube. And I'll probably watch.
Dude, honestly, I want to see Ahmed. I want to see the guy. Yeah. I mean, we've heard about what happened with his turn as Jar Jar. He wanted to, kill himself. Essentially, was at the precipice. Now they're giving him a chance. He's playing a Jedi. I believe it's either Karen Beck or Kellen Beck. I forget the name. But he will be dressed as a Jedi in character, leading these kids through a bunch of different challenges, trials, this, that, and the other thing. I would play the trailer, but I'm a pussy. We know what happens on the Star Wars Time Show when I try to infuse other audio sources. So just go to StarWarsTime.net and check out the trailer if you missed it. But like I said, if you are listening to this episode 1 of the Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge should be out there on StarWarsKids.com or Star Wars Kids YouTube. Yeah, so check it out. I'll make sure to watch this first episode and have some sort of report back for next week. But I believe once it starts on June 3rd, we're going to get a new episode each week for a few weeks. So that's nice. Get some free stuff out there. All right, this next one's not going to be free, Nick, but it's something that's kind of more up your alley, and that's the fact that Del Rey has decided to what? They've upped the release of the latest Thrawn trilogy or just the Thrawn book?
The Thrawn, so Thrawn Ascendancy is the new trilogy.
Okay, the Ascendancy
gotcha. Yeah, so the first book of the new trilogy is coming out September 1st. It was initially slated to release in October, but they're pushing the release date up. I don't know if that's to like, help people who were expecting an August release date for the High Republic series of books. But they have pushed this one up, and it's really interesting to me because like you said, I've finished the original Thrawn trilogy. They're really fucking good books. They bring you right up to the point of, the basically where Thrawn is inserted into the Rebels trilogy, or not the Rebels trilogy.
Okay,
the Rebels
so
TV
essentially, the book covers up until season 4, like his debut.
Yeah,
and then the
right
show covers the rest of his arc. Obviously, I mean, Nick and I have been bitching about wondering what the fuck happened to Thrawn and Ezra for a few years now.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so where's this trilogy go then?
This is a prequel, so this is going to take you back before Thrawn joined the Empire. So in the first book of the new canon Thrawn trilogy is when he is not really conscripted, but he joins the Imperial military after he's found on a planet that the Empire was occupying. It was basically thought to be some sort of like, not really desolate, but there was very few settlements on it. And then Thrawn Thrawn found them really, and then joined the Imperial Navy through them. But this is going to take you back to when he was an admiral, a high-standing admiral within the Chiss Ascendancy.
Oh, so it's not like going all the way back to where he was a pimp, like letting his chest hang out with his long black hair hanging out.
I don't know if it's all that far back, but
I have an image of that from somewhere, but isn't that from the first trilogy reboot where he works with Anakin?
Yeah, so
and we learn about the Chiss Skywalkers and all that. I mean, doesn't he have a little longer hair? Isn't he a little more loosey goosey looking?
I don't.
Or am
remember.
I just having some weird fucking fantasies about a naked Thrawn at this point?
I think like the cover art for that book, because that's the second one in the new trilogy, was him with Vader, so he was still looking very imperial. I don't remember if they described him as having. I gotta find this. Beard or hair.
I gotta find this or check myself in the rehab.
It may have been like a fanfic, but in that book, it is still him kind of working through the Chiss Ascendancy during the time of the Galactic Civil War. So this was, when the CIS and the Republic were going at it. And then now this I don't know exactly. It doesn't give an exact timeline on they call it the Ascendancy trilogy.
It was a comic book. I just found it.
Okay, it was a comic. Gotcha.
I'm pulling it up now so we can see his sexy body.
But Chaos Rising is the first book of the new trilogy. It's going to be coming out September 1st, and it is going to take you back to his time in the Ascendancy, which we get to dabble in a little bit, like Matt said, with the book 2 from the new trilogy when he's working with Anakin Skywalker. And then there is a Chiss Ascendancy admiral that he works with at the end.
So this Ascendancy shit, that's just their military?
Yes.
Now,
the Chiss Ascendancy is the name.
Are they subservient to Palpatine's Imperials?
No. Even into actual Imperial timeline, the Ascendancy is completely separated from the Empire. There is no affiliation. And there was
Palpatine didn't want to wipe him off the fucking face of the map. I mean, that's odd. Like you would think. I mean, he wanted everything. He wanted galactic control.
I mean, they functioned.
Were they in the unknown regions then? Like they only chill there, or what?
Not quite unknown regions. They're in wild space, which is like kind of in between, like the core planets, even like the outer rim planets, and the unknown regions. So they're in like an ungoverned area of the galaxy.
Yeah, and this is just me knowing nothing. That's why I like this type of stuff. But I'm just thinking here is like, if Thrawn was such a Mac Daddy military strategist warrior, you would think his brothers and sisters shared some of those traits, and I'm talking like the
yeah,
other
they
ascendancy.
definitely do.
And you'd think someone like Palpatine, who doesn't want anyone to challenge his rule, would be like, "Hey, fuck these people. Let's wipe them out." I mean, look what he did to just a little tiny rebellion. And the way you're telling me about this ascendancy, they sound like, they're almost like Navy SEAL level type of warriors out here. They're Navy, and he's just letting them chill. I find that to be interesting, that Palpatine wouldn't have wanted to wipe them out or conscript them like he did to most every other alien race.
It was mostly due to like his trust. Like he has a very good, not even like, relationship kind of, for lack of a better term, with Thrawn. And that was actually a big part of their, not really their agreement, but a lot of their early conversations were about like the ascendancy and, what are they a threat? Really, Palpatine wanted to know, are they a threat to the Empire? And Thrawn has told them, multiple times, like they're not, because they're not really a conquesting type of race. They're not a conquesting type of people. So they don't really want to involve themselves in core galactic politics or take over any new territory there. So as Thrawn told the Emperor, he's like, look, you don't have to worry about the ascendancy because they're not worried about you. Like they're not going to invade Imperial space, and they don't expect an invasion from the Imperials into wild space. So it was one of those relationships that was always based off of like Thrawn's relationship with the Empire, and then Palpatine believing that the ascendancy wasn't really a threat to the Empire.
I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Palpatine doesn't strike me as a guy that takes people at their word.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess you'll never know. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way that relationship plays out, because he does he trusts Thrawn
more than
as
Vader.
Far as he trusts anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that like Palpatine and Vader fucking hated each other, right? I mean, that's detailed in canon, everything. I mean, they play along because that's what Sith do, but especially in the comics, I mean, the most recent Vader run, a whole series is nothing but Palpatine sending people after him to kill him, and then the other one is Vader looking for ways to get stronger to kill him. And okay, now so Thrawn knows who Vader is, right?
Yeah, I mean it's hinted. It's never. Well, he almost comes out straight to Vader's face and tells him. And that's why,
like, it wasn't one of the books kind of set during the prequel eras to establish that Thrawn worked with Anakin or something like that?
Yeah. So the way that the second book in the trilogy was set up was actually really fucking cool, because it was a mirroring of each other. So you had one side where, or like one part of the book where it is set where Thrawn, still in the Chiss Ascendancy, is working with Anakin Skywalker to take down you could call it a separatist emplacement on this planet called Mokiv, which is right outside of Batuu. It's like a moon of Batuu. And then the other part of that book is Thrawn working with Vader again in this same system, this Mokiv system, to uncover. I can't exactly remember what it was at the time, but like he's working with him in the same exact area where he was working before. It was to combat a Grisk incursion into the edge of Imperial space, and the Grisks are basically the new
Yuuzhan
Vong.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So they were working with each other, and you get a lot of that because they both. Like Vader for sure knows that he knew Thrawn when he was Anakin Skywalker.
I mean, Vader's not a big dummy. He plays things close to his respirator, if you will.
Yeah, and he's trying to piece together. He's like, does Thrawn know that I am Skywalker?
Yeah, maybe I should read these word things you guys get into.
That trilogy is really fucking good.
I bet. I'm just. What else do you want me to say? I mean, are you gonna read it to me? I'll start calling you every night.
You got to get the audio version.
I want you to read it. Like, I'm just gonna Skype you. I'm gonna go sit and watch TV, and you're gonna be back here on my computer just reading it to me like I'm a little baby.
I will be the audiobook reader. But I mean, that whole book was really interesting because the good part about it is that Vader can't read him. Like, Vader cannot read his mind.
Is that just their natural ability? Like, they're kind of like a Toydarian where they can't use mind tricks and shit like that.
It's not
or
necessarily
Thrawn,
that.
like train for that.
It's that they don't have emotion. They don't really have emotional, like, mental fluctuations the same way that other races do.
Got you.
So every time he tries to read them, it's just flat.
So they even have less emotions than Yoda.
Yeah. He's almost like it's almost like a Vulcan type of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like
all right. Yeah. There we go.
Like
dude, I'm high on Star Trek right now. We've talked about this. I'm still working through. CBS got me. They got me good. They're like, hey, 1 free month of CBS. I was like, sweet, I'll do it and I'll watch Picard. And they're like, you know what? I'm gonna check out this Discovery. And I'm like, I fucking love this show. I mean, Star Trek Discovery is great.
I saw the first like 2 or 3 episodes of Discovery, and I really liked because the production quality.
Oh my
was,
god,
like,
dude! I mean, it's insane. There's like say F words, heads getting cut off. I mean, the Klingons are gnarly as fuck. I don't know. I think it's really well done. I'm still in the middle of the first season. There's been some very interesting plot shifts and surprises and character turns. I'm digging it. And then at night, kind of when I start to get woozy and fall asleep, I'm always on Netflix, either thrown on Deep Space Nine or an old Star Trek show, because to me, they're perfect background noise. Like, I love that nerdy science stuff. So,
well, dude, now you're gonna get a Admiral Pike like series, right? I think that was announced recently. Is they're gonna have a show that's centered around Admiral Pike from the new J.J. Abrams trilogy.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
His time actually being a captain, I think. So
got you. No, I mean, hey, like I said, CBS, they got me. They did it right. I'm even paying for the $9.99 no commercial plan just because I'm a lazy asshole.
How much is the commercial plan?
$4.99.
That's not bad. I may take a look at that.
I don't know, man.
But
it's
like,
just
everything gets fucked up with HBO Max now, right? Because like now, like Big Bang Theory is going to be on HBO Max.
I don't. It's weird. It's like HBO signed very odd one-off deals here, full deals there. I mean, obviously they're getting CBS shows, which I think is because of their Warner Brother deal, maybe.
Okay.
Because they're going to get all the DC stuff. They're going to get all the shows that were on the failed DC streaming service.
Yeah.
They have some of their original shit. I mean, HBO Max is like whatever. I was already paying for HBO. It just updated. You go through it. They got a lot of shit, but it's organized very oddly.
Yeah, because they got like Friends is on.
Yeah, they
it
signed
for
that
some
deal.
reason.
I mean, they signed the Snyder Cut deal. I mean, they're making good moves, I think.
J.J. Abrams signed a $250 million deal to make content for them.
Right, I think that's through Warner Brothers. So
yeah, that's through Warner.
So I think that's how some of the CBS stuff is showing up there. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely not a lack of shit to kind of boob tube out to these days. It's too much. I mean, for someone like me, it's too much. More often than not, I usually end up spending 35, 40 minutes just looking at different apps, going through all my lists again, thinking I'm going to see something new. And then by the end, it's like, oh, fuck it, I'll throw on Star Trek Deep Space Nine and pass out.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense. It's a good thing. Like you said, it's something good to fall asleep to, because maybe you'll pick up some sciencey lingo and learn some Klingon in your sleep.
Hey, whatever, man. I'm Star Wars for life. Obviously, there's always time for Star Wars time, but I am not ashamed to say that I also thoroughly enjoy Star Trek. Really do. I liked all the movies. I've liked most of the TV shows, the newer movies, and really what they're doing on CBS, I think, is some top-notch shit. So, well, that's good for the Thrawn stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I might give it a try, because I do love the lore that Nick is kind of tickling my taint with here. I just don't. Yeah, it's got to be audio if I do it.
Yeah, if you ever start commuting to work again, if we ever get out of our homes and people are in cars for extended periods of time again, audiobook version is the way to do it.
That's right. I have given up sports talk for the most part, because I mean, this is still not because there's no sports. I gave it up because I'm a diehard Buckeye fan, and when they fucking blew that game against Clemson, I still have not recovered. And we're talking like 4 or 5 months at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you are one to take things hard then just swear off of shit for years.
I don't want to hear it. It's weird. It's like I don't want to, because you get in there, they're talking about the new season, which I still don't even know how we're going to have sports, but whatever. We'll pretend. We'll keep the hopes up. I'm not saying I don't want sports. I do. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see.
The same thing happened to me with the Saints Super Bowl miss a couple of years ago.
Yeah, right. You don't want to see any video clips. You don't want to hear any recordings, any audio, any highlights. You just want to forget about it, and that's how it's been. And then it just kind of led into, well, there's no sports anyway, so I haven't listened to my. And I love we have a great local sports talk show here in Columbus, but it's like, hey, whatever. I'll throw on Stern when he feels like doing something from his basement.
Yeah.
All right, so Thrawn dropping early, a month early, that is, September 1st, Chaos Rising. Check it out.
Yep, I'll be on it.
Okay, so this next one, and you can kind of see how I read it here, but basically you can definitely chalk this piece up to the lack of Star Wars news these days. But for lore hounds like myself, maybe it'll give you some peace of mind. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the chronology of the Clone Wars Season 7, but really the chronology of the Clone Wars in general, which is a fucking mess.
It's all over.
It is a fucking mess, dude. And I had kept looking because we talked about in the past, if you go to StarWars.com, I'll throw up the link right now. They have a curated list to watch Star Wars The Clone Wars in chronological order. For those of you that are stupid, that means within the universe, it's going to follow that timeline. When it was first released, it was not released in chronological order. As you can see, the first episode you're supposed to watch is the 16th episode of Season 2. All right? And then you watch the 16th episode of Season 1, and then you watch the fucking movie that kicked off the franchise in the first place. So, like I said, chronology has not been Filoni and George's thing with the Clone Wars. I don't know if a single season aired in chronological order. I do not believe so. I think there are episodes from every season that are kind of out of order or pop up in other seasons. But up until Season 7, we didn't know where those were going to fit in the chronology. I mean, we knew they would all take place after Season 6. We didn't quite know how they were going to be set in the timeline within its own season, outside the fact that it was going to be very close to Revenge of the Sith events. Well, who knows, over the past week or so, or maybe when Clone Wars ended, StarWars.com's intern got out there and pulled up or updated the chronological order watch for Clone Wars and added Season 7, and lo and behold, it's not even fucking close.
It was out of order again. So basically what happened was the Bad Batch arc and then the Ahsoka Underworld arc
are flipped.
Right. So in the way that we watched it was Bad Batch arc first, all the way down to the Unfinished Business episode, with, Obi-Wan and Mace Windu on the planet kind of quelling that separatist rebellion. And then we went into the Ahsoka arc. But in reality, in chronological terms, the Ahsoka arc is first going all the way from Gone with the Trace to Together Again, where they meet up with Anakin Skywalker. And then you go into the Bad Batch arc that ends with the rebellion that Mace and Obi-Wan quash, and then you go into the final four episode arc, Siege of Mandalore.
Those were the only ones that were in chronological order, and at least they went 9, 10, 11, 12, which they had to because it was a 4-episode movie.
I don't understand why you just didn't for this one in particular, for this season, why not just show it in order?
Well, I kind of threw my 2 cents at that question, Nick, because I'm the same way. It's like, okay, well, what's the deal here? But if you think about it, if we would have watched that 4-episode arc with Ahsoka, and then a month she's just out of mind, out of view, everything, and then you have 709 show up, I don't think that reunion would have been as impactful, as hard-hitting, if it was told in chronological order, because our minds, we figured about shit very, very quickly. I mean, we're talking, it would have been 4 weeks before we would have saw Ahsoka reunite on that Star Destroyer with Anakin. And I think the way they did it, where it literally just rolled right into it, it felt fresh, it felt timely, it felt natural, if you will, from a fan perspective. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't even close. So in the show's world, Ahsoka did all her shit, and who knows how long she was hanging with the Mandalorians before they came and met with Anakin.
Yeah.
Could have been a couple days, a week, a month, 2 months.
Yeah, I definitely buy that description of why they did it, that reasoning behind it. It does, because it was really nice to have kind of that order. It felt segmented, like we were saying, like it felt a little bit segmented where you get Bad Batch, then you get Ahsoka, and then you get the finish. But I think the way that they segmented it and the release order actually made it fit a little bit better.
It was really that bleed in from 708, which was Together Again. That's where Ahsoka finally realized, like, yeah, I should kind of do Jedi stuff, I guess, and go help these Mandos. Mm-hmm. And then it just naturally flipped right into 709, where, you know, we meet back up with the Jedi bros kicking ass on a planet, and then they get called away to realize that Ahsoka's looking for some help, or wants their help to go attack Mandalore for Maul and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's like they don't like chronology, at least the way they air these episodes. But that's kind of been the case since the Clone Wars started. Like we said, its 16th episode of the second season is the true
is the
first episode. It's like, okay.
Dude, it's nuts. I mean, I really do think that somebody needs to go through, like you've said multiple times, go through and just build it right.
Right.
Like there's no reason that you shouldn't have a chronologically ordered Clone Wars available on your streaming service if it's going to be there forever.
Like, Nick, look here. The intern, they just put stream on Disney Plus. So you have to go to StarWars.com and essentially watch it on your computer and click to each episode.
Yeah. Like I saw that and I was like, why though? Like, why not just, I don't know.
It's nuts, man. I mean, at this point, you'd have to think to build those playlists on these streaming services requires a rocket science degree, right?
Because, yeah, dude. Is it not just like drag and drop?
Exactly,
like,
right? I mean, we kind of have technical brains, just what we do. And yeah, I'm thinking like, what does the back end look? Oh, Clone Wars. All right, I'll drag that asset there, that asset there, that asset there. Okay, there's a fucking playlist.
Yeah, exactly. Like it cannot be that difficult. Like I know that it's 130 plus episodes and it would take some time.
133. Dude, they some asshole sat here and linked the episode title to its page on StarWars.com and then to the episode on Disney Plus. This had to take more work than what you could probably do on a streaming platform.
Yeah, like just just fucking do it. You're not doing anything else. If you're a Star Wars, if you're like a Disney Plus intern, just reorder.
Yeah, Rogue Action. Do a Rogue Action. So we go.
Yeah, just have it be done.
But anyways, I have my peace of mind now. We all the full chronological order of the Clone Wars is set. I'm slowly making my way through it. I am only on episode 6 of the chronological watch, which is the Malevolence arc, which is a good one. And that's where Grievous just fucks people up, and then Anakin fucks him up again. You know, from what I remember, this is one where Anakin just gets in a ship and does some wild stuff. Like a big ass ship, not like a little, not a little fighter, like
Starfighter. Yeah.
All right, man. One last thing on the Disney stuff here, and we don't really have an official post for this, but both Nick and I have kind of started to suck on keeping up with the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. I am fully caught up now. I have watched through episode 5. Episode 5 was all on practical, which was fantastic. I guess a good nugget there, Nick, and it's not really the tease, but they loved the animatronics so much that even when he's CG, John and Dave made a rule that they have to CG animate it as if it's an animatronic. So that was neat.
That's perfect.
You got some of the Werner Herzog stuff in there. You know, we heard stories from Deborah how he was like coaching the puppet and talking about how great the puppet is, and so that was neat. But really, the episode I want to talk about is number 4, and it was technology. And they put obviously a heavy focus on how video game engines are being used now to create these dynamic sets with these massive LED screens. Favreau and Filoni talked about something they called the volume, which is essentially a room that is nothing but these screens on the side, the floor, the bottom. That's how they did the lava escape on Navarro. But there's a segment in there called George's Garage. And Bryce Dallas Howard actually brings it up. And, you know, if you know who she is, she's Ron Howard's daughter. Ron and George are good friends. Ron acted in a lot of George's movies when he was still an actor. And it sounded like when Bryce was little, they would go to George's house. And, you know, George would talk about his plans and this, that, and the other thing. But essentially, George was talking like at some point in time, I should be able to make a Star Wars movie in my garage. And he was getting there. Like, if you think about it, and we all make fun of it, but the guy is a fucking pioneer, if anything else. And he was essentially doing these LED walls for the prequels. It was just still green screen because the tech didn't exist. They didn't even think about using game engines at that point because that tech wasn't even close to being ready.
I mean, game engines, like you said back then, were garbage, dude. You're still talking like 2005, 2006.
Exactly. And we're still only on Unreal 5 at this point. But they're just working on 5. So it's not like working on 5. It's not like even Unreal's been around forever. But so she brings that up and they kind of go into a segment. And that just got me thinking. I'm like, you're exactly right. Because even Kathy came in. She's like, listen, what we're doing now, this is all George's idea. He just didn't have the technology wasn't even close. This is what he wanted to do. At one point in time, Nick, I don't know if it was at his house or at the Lucasfilm complex, they essentially built one of these mini green screen outdoor sets where he could interchange and essentially make it look like a bunch of different worlds. But again, the tech wasn't there to make the process streamlined and cost effective. Yeah, and that just really led me to think, because they even showed clips of George on the Mando set talking with John and Dave, looking at the shit, and I was almost looking into his soul and going, this man wants to play. This man wants to play. This is his vision. Like, this shit got built because of him. He may not be the one doing it now, but this is George's garage. And that's I'm stealing Bryce's line, but she said, when I walked on set, all I could think was, this is George's garage. This is what he was envisioning, and we're doing it now. So Nick, for me, and we talked about it earlier, I'm like, we got to get him back. We got to get the maker on one of these sets using the volume, the LED walls. I don't care if it's an episode of the Mando. If he wants to make his own fucking series, he should be allowed to. I want to see, at this point in time, what George fucking Lucas can do with his creation. It's still his. I know he sold the rights to it. It's still fucking his. I want to see what he can do with this tech, and what type of story he could put out.
I agree.
I'm calling for it right now. I want it.
I've never been the one to say like he should just completely remove himself from Star Wars and just be done with it. Like I did criticize him when he came out and he was criticizing the movies, and he, was kind of poo-pooing the way that storytellers were telling their stories. Like, in my opinion, he has lost his ability to say like, well, I don't think the story should have gone that way when he sold it. Now, I think that he should be, if he wants to come back and he wants to tell his own stories and he wants to be a part of the process and make content for this universe again, that he should be able to do it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like, I would love to see him work with John and Dave again on The Mandalorian and say like, hey guys, if somebody wants to bring back Boba Fett, I think he's the guy to do it because he created that character and he's the one who should be able to say, this is how I think his story should continue.
What would you want? Like, what would be your ideal scenario for George to come back to Star Wars? Is it just picking up and directing an episode, or maybe writing the episode and directing it? Or is it writing? Is it directing? I mean, does he pitch a whole series? Does he get a movie? I mean, what capacity?
I think that the best that we've ever seen George Lucas was in the original trilogy, obviously. Right. And I think that the best thing for Lucas to do is to be a story writer, create a creator, and not necessarily on the ground. Like, yes, he needs to be there on,
So feel me on this. We got George, write, Dave, direct.
I'm all for
John,
that.
Obviously, in the same room. Right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to do it. And for me, start off with one episode, see how he likes it, because it's going to be different. Like, it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to be John and Dave who stop it. It's going to be George who stops it, because he's so used to being in complete control of everything. And
now he's got to run it by these fucking assholes on the story group that don't know how to story group shit.
Yeah. And for me, I think what would end up happening is that John and Dave would take a step back and just be like, he's George, let George do what he does. We just won't be involved. And that's what I don't want to happen. Because the reason
they turn into Rick McCallum, his producer in the prequels, is just like, let's do it.
Yeah, just do whatever you want to do.
Put Anakin surfing on that big fat looking anteater cow thing. That'll look great.
It looks
That's definitely a love story
man.
Material.
But that's what has made The Mandalorian so good, is that you do have all of these incredible artists and directors and creative visionary minds on there. But John and Dave are there to say, like, hey, maybe do it this way. This is how it fits better in the story. This is more Star Wars. This is how it interacts with the entire lore around it. And that's why it's so good. If you let George just go in there and be George, like we've talked about so many times, where he just says, like, turn this character blue. He's got fucking horns coming out of his eyes. His name's Blip Blop, and this one has a pink shoe.
Blip Blop and Nickel Dick.
Yeah, like if you allow him to do that, then it gets crazy. Yeah. It gets, but if you let him work with John and Dave, I think magic can happen. Just like we saw in the original trilogy when he was working with incredible minds like Irvin Kershner and or Larry Kasdan, and the people around him at that time were not just enabling him. They were helping him clarify his vision.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, we could open up a bunch of can of worms with George coming back, but I just my Star Wars soul, for some reason, after I saw that and just knowing that everything they were saying was 100% true. I mean, I envisioned George sitting around his ranch these days going, those motherfuckers. They got my goddamn license, they got my stories, and now they got my ideas for the tech. I had those fucking ideas. I wanted to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. Let me at it. And I feel like, let him at it. Let him in. Let him write something. Let him direct an episode. Don't tell us. Let us figure it out. Make it a surprise, because I honestly think any Star Wars fan worth their salt, if they watched an episode that George Lucas had a direct hand in, they would go, something's different with this, and there's the reveal, and they go, I knew it. It's just like when you watch the Dave episodes. I mean, you could tell which episodes are Dave's from season 1, episode 1 and episode 5. I mean, they're spot on Filoni. They take so much care with the universe, the characters, the Easter eggs, this, that, and the other thing. So I don't know, man. My inner little Star Wars fanboy is just like, you know what? As much as I've cursed him over these years for some of the shit he did in the prequels and kind of tarnishing my vision of Anakin / Vader, I'm over all that. Like I love the guy. I've always loved him. I mean, he made this shit up in his head. Yeah, for people like Nick and I to sit in our basements during a pandemic and talk about it for 2, 3, sometimes 4 fucking hours.
I think the way that it would happen is if Filoni is ever in an executive decision maker position, he would be the one to allow it. I just don't know what the dynamics are for it at this point.
I still think over there, George has carte blanche to come on set or do whatever he wanted to. I really think if he said, hey, Kathy, remember all those fucking gigs I got you? Remember all those millions I've made you? Guess what? I'm showing up today, and if I feel like directing, I'm directing. Yeah.
And I mean, we've all heard about him directing the scene in Solo and stuff like that. I think, in my opinion, like I mentioned, 1 episode, or you give him his own mini series is the way that I would put it. Mini series.
Let him and Dave work on something again. And I don't think George wants to fucking do any of this. This is just us as fans wishing, willing the universe. We're wishing we could wish it all to happen, right? In words of young Anakin Loverboy Skywalker. So I don't know. If those of you, if you haven't watched episode 4 Technology, keep an eye out for that moment and see where your Star Wars brain goes. Because mine was just like, man, you know what? I bet George is sitting there just going, fuck, damn it. This is what I've wanted. I could have done what I wanted if the tech was just there. I'm beyond the tech. It also just reminds you of how future thinking this guy was with cinema and how you tell stories, how you do it cheaply, how you do it with fantastic looking effects. Dude,
he probably knew. I'll say this: he probably knew because he 83 was Return of the Jedi. 16 years is when we got the reveal of, or the release of TPM. He probably knew what he said. He's like, I gotta wait 15 years after.
He was no dummy. I mean, the only thing that got him off his ass to write the prequels was Jurassic Park. Like, his buddy Steve essentially did a demo for him, and George saw those dinosaurs like, yep, text about where I want it now, so I'm ready to proceed. I mean, he just did. I don't think he could have made the 15 years. See,
I
blame it on all you computer programmers and hardware makers out there. You weren't quick enough for the maker, so fuck you. It's your fault.
Be faster. But all right, that brings us into our fan
it's like the supersized fan segment these days. I mean, I do have a couple mentions before we get into. First off, what do you want? What should we do after mentions? You want to get into update on the Battle of the Ages?
Yes,
and then we'll do the question of the week responses, and then we'll end with the top 5 plus 1 this week. Yes, I got my pick. But just a couple mentions before we get in there. First up, those of you that are collectors, toy photographers, you know that we are media partners with the X-Clue magazine. Jack and the team just released, it's kind of the rebranding of the magazine from X-Clue Collective to X-Clue Magazine. So it is issue 1, even though there were old X-Clue Collective magazines. But anyways, issue 1 is now available, and you're probably wondering why we're pushing it. Well, we're in the motherfucker, all right? So that's one reason we're pushing it. Another reason that we're pushing it, the work that Jack does on this magazine in terms of how he puts it together, the people he pulls in, the help, and the design of the magazine is phenomenal. This guy, I think he's still in his 20s. He's been grinding at this for years and years. And I just wanted to announce that the print version, he decided to do a print version because there was enough interest. There is a pre-order up now, so you can pre-order the print version. It'll run you around $6-7. You should just do it to support other content creators and toy fans, but also because we are in it. So what we're looking at now, this is the digital version of the issue, which you can also check out. But I wrote an article for issue 1, kind of talking about Nick and I's show, our fandom, what we do, and the collecting aspect of being a Star Wars fan. And I kind of took it as I'm turning 40, ESB turned 40. We got all these new ESB figures. So I just kind of riffed on that. And if you look at, just look at the design. He used some of my shitty photography in there. So I love that. Just look how he lays it out. So, if you are a collector of any type of toys, not just Star Wars, like any geeky stuff, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, you like the toy photography, or you just like reading about new toys coming out, I cannot recommend the X-Clue magazine enough. So you got the digital version out there, or like I said, you could fire up the print version, which you can pre-order now. All right. Other mentions here. Let me quick switch over to Slack because I'm going to need my man Nick to bring in some lore here.
Yep.
We got another one here from, what's his name? Christopher. Quit zooming in.
I know it's I think it's Mahoney.
Yeah, Christopher Mahoney. But this is, I thought this was interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he got this from, but apparently people are handing out Mando lore. But it's essentially, it sets up the fact that I'm assuming this was during the Jedi-Mandalorian War, but it said Mandalorians quickly figured out that Jedi mostly view blaster fire as fun lightsaber practice.
I've seen this before.
So during the Mando Jedi Wars, they dealt with this in characteristically practical fashion. They use slug throwers, essentially our guns. Instead, because if a Jedi tries to deflect a regular bullet, what happens is a bunch of bullet shrapnel to the Jedi's face. So essentially, Jedi or Sith deflects blaster fire. A Mando aide is just, racking a shotgun and deflecting this, you wizard bitch. Like that. I'm sitting here thinking, that makes a lot of sense, but wouldn't a projectile just instantly melt?
I think that depending on the size,
unless they're shooting like vibroblade
right?
metal at them or something.
Yeah, it really depends on what they're shooting. Just for like even further context here, Wookiee bowcasters don't shoot lasers. They shoot superheated pieces of metal.
Like a rail gun, essentially, right?
Yeah, basically. So the reason you've never seen a Jedi deflect any sort of, blast from a Wookiee bowcaster is because they either can't, or it's also probably because the Wookiees and the Jedi have never had any sort of quarrel with each other. Yeah, so
they never threw down.
It's interesting with this because I kind of lean towards it would melt it, because you wouldn't have a bullet shrapnel, splits and mushrooms when it hits something solid.
Yes,
and then peels back. With a lightsaber, you're not necessarily having an impact like that, because it would be more akin to it going through like lava.
Yeah, man. I mean, let's be real. It's always fun to bring real science to fake sci-fi.
Yeah.
But if we were to use real science, I mean, a metal slug, any type of slug, would instantly either disintegrate or just melt. I mean, maybe you could get some of the melt spray through the lightsaber, but I don't even think that would happen, because the reason they can deflect blaster fire, because blasters again are just charged light energy, right? Like it's
photon particles.
It's more energy. It's energy into energy, essentially.
Yeah.
Where I would still think a piece of metal or the like, anything that is tangible, would react just like other metal has reacted to lightsabers that we've seen, aka melting fucking doors, sticking them through doors, cutting floors out, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I'm not sure where this came from.
I love the concept. Like I that's why I mentioned it. Like I'm not shitting on here or making fun of Chris or the poster. It's like, like I said, if you really want to get dorky and sciencey about this fake Star Wars galaxy, I don't think their Mando aids and any of that stuff would actually pan out. But hey, you never know. It is science fiction.
A scatter shot shotgun would probably work really well, because you don't have a centralized piece of metal or whatever to hit.
Right. You would need to be General Grievous doing his double arm pinwheel swing to deflect that. So I will give them. I'll give them the Mando aid.
Yeah, the shotgun would work pretty well, but it is kind of like a fun thought experiment to think about. Like, man, how would a lightsaber react with different types of weapons?
Hey, like I said, it got me to put in the mentions. And the last one here, this comes from the Preacher, Cryophotography, and I put this up just because it kind of plays into what I've been saying. But he said, I have been playing Fallen Order for 13 hours straight. I hate Cal, worst Jedi ever. And I just replied with a thank you. So
I think that
he's milquetoast, man. Like he's not. You don't really hate him or love him. He's just like blah. He's as blah as it gets.
Yeah, he is a very standard, probably run of the mill Jedi Padawan of that
blah
time
blah
period.
Boy. All right, so moving off the mentions, now we're going to get into the Battle of the Ages that Nick has been hosting. Have we've made it through another full round with these three here?
There's one more left. Okay. I was going to put it up today, but in Blackout Tuesday.
Right, so that'll go up. Well, if you're listening live, or not live, if you're listening fresh, and by fresh we drop on Wednesdays, then you should be able to vote on the latest one from this round. But we'll go over the three we do have here, Nick, starting with
the upsets here.
Lots of upsets. Starting with the Anakin Obi-Wan rematch.
Yes. So this is the number 1 seed Anakin Skywalker versus number 8 Obi-Wan Kenobi rematch of the Rots.
Obi-Wan's like the Cinderella of this tournament.
Dude, he is really fucking making it.
Who did he knock off in round 1 as the 8th seed?
Let's see. Round 1, he fought Rey as the 9 seed. So that was that was a very close matchup. But of course, our fans will not vote for any sequel trilogy people. So he beat Rey in the first round, and now he defeats Anakin Skywalker.
I mean, it's not even 50-50. I mean, it is a pretty
46-54. Yeah. So now he will go on to the, not the final round, not the championship round just quite yet, the semifinal round, where I believe if I look at the brackets, he is going to face the winner of this next reveal here, which is Darth Maul versus Darth Revan. And Darth Revan pulled it out 55-45.
Because that was a late surge, because I think Maul at one point in time when you started, it took like he kind of took off, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, Maul has been a very strong contender this entire tournament. So let's see. I'll do a breakdown like I did previously of like what we've seen in terms of the votes and if there's any notable voters for either of the I
voted on a few of these this time with Haywood Pop.
So going back to Anakin Obi-Wan, it was the total vote breakdown was 62 votes for Anakin, 74 votes for Obi-Wan. Notable Anakin voters: Liam Samard, I know he's a good friend of the show. Figure Hertz voted for Anakin. Sir Dork, one of the original goats, voted for Anakin. So some big names there, and then Obi-Wan voters: Kingdom of Weird. Matt Haywood Haywood Pop here voted for Obi-Wan. Trevor voted for Obi-Wan, so 1-6 shooter. So a lot of good diversity in terms of who voted for it. So give us your thoughts behind that, Matt. So now that we have outed you as an Obi-Wan Kenobi voter in this Anakin versus Obi-Wan rematch, what was your mindset here?
Well, it was probably the wrong mindset, but I couldn't separate from their Mustafar fight.
Yeah,
and I know this was not fucked up Vader Anakin, right?
No, yeah, this was ended like the way that I've always.
This is supposed to be level-headed, good guy, long hair Anakin before he fucks up.
Exactly. Like it is the best version of this individual, of each individual character.
I don't know, man. I think it wasn't like a trolling thing, but it's. I have a hard time separating the ass kicking Obi-Wan gave him on Mustafar, and I still believe that just because of how much more grounded Obi-Wan is, he could even goad good Anakin into kind of getting off his game, teasing him, doing shit like that. Kind of letting him play into Obi-Wan's style of fighting, which is a little more calm and collected.
Yeah,
I don't know. Obi-Wan's a wise motherfucker. I think he could have taken him.
Like I agree with you, and I think that even at his best, Anakin is still
those are the things in stores that they put dresses on, Nick.
Yes, a mannequin is definitely a little different, but Anakin is still an emotionally driven fighter.
Yep.
And there's no way for him to separate that from his fighting style, and that will always come back and bite him. Is that he's gonna get too emotional. Now, if we put this, if Rey would have won that last round against Obi-Wan, if it was the 9 seed over the 8. I think Anakin beats her.
Oh, it would have been 99% to 1%.
Yeah. But even like in my mind, they're both emotionally driven fighters in that instance, and Anakin is just too strong for her.
Right. And trained. He actually is trained in the true Jedi arts, from combat all the way to using the Force. So
yeah. So
yeah, I don't know. It's my Obi vote definitely was more because of how they compose themselves during combat. And I really think Obi-Wan could have gotten Anakin off his game a little bit. You know, it's like your mom wore combat boots, or Padme looks chubby, stuff like that. So
yeah, just poking at him a little bit. So
like, hey Anakin, I know you're fucking people. Ha ha ha. I know your secret, stuff like that.
So with that matchup, Anakin versus Obi-Wan winning, the number 1 seed is out. Whoa. No more number 1 seed in this tournament.
Major upset. So yeah, Kenobi definitely is the Cinderella of this tournament.
So far, for sure. So the Revan versus Maul, where Revan won 55%, Maul 45%, 77 votes for Revan, 62 for Maul. And this is some of the voter breakdown. Sir Dork voted for Darth Revan. I voted for Darth Revan. Let's see who else we got here. Sith Lord Lego is a staple in the top 5. Rust Belt Collector, Klondike. So we got some good voters for Revan. Maul voters. Let's see if we have anything right off the top here that looks like a. Let's see. I mean, a lot of fans. 97 Parsecs Photography. That's somebody that we're going to hear from pretty soon.
Top one.
The top one, Tones, voting for Maul here. So there's some some notable fans voting for Maul here.
It was a close battle for 12 and 4. I mean, 12 was another Cinderella, but there's always a 12 that beats their seed in the round 1. Yeah. So it happens.
Yeah. So with these two matches decided, that decides the next matchup in the semifinal. So we're gonna have an Obi-Wan versus Revan in the semifinals.
That's nice. I like it.
And yeah, we're really gonna see how far this Cinderella can go. And
I'm Team Obi. Let's go. Let's bring him home. Get him to the championship.
I can't vote for Obi-Wan in that matchup. I just can't do it. So we did have one other matchup decided, and it was Palpatine versus Vader. This is the 2 seed versus 7.
I like this. I like how this played out.
I know. So Emperor Palpatine versus Vader. It was 79% to 21% Vader over Palp. And that's a pretty hefty upset.
I agree. I didn't think it would be that drastic. I'm not surprised that Vader won, though, and I know I voted for Vader.
Okay, so tell me your thoughts.
All right,
then.
like again, there's some tomfoolery in here, but if you truly think about the one time, at least in movie canon, that we saw these two come to blows, Vader literally beat him by lifting him over his head. Yeah, like it wasn't even a competition.
Just pure strength.
He just fucking lifted up and tossed him.
But this is the best Palp. So in my opinion,
that's still best. I mean, what was wrong with the Palp zapping Luke? I mean, he was fine.
I think he is at that point, he's a physically degraded Palpatine. Like, in my opinion, it's hard. This is a hard matchup to kind of
they're both they're both degraded technically. Then I mean, you can make the argument the Mace Windu creates the Palpatine of the original trilogy. I mean, by aging his body, by reflecting that shit back to him. So I didn't look at it that way. I really just took it like, hey, the one time we saw them come to blows, Vader literally looked at him and said, yeah, I'm going to fucking kill this guy, and killed him.
Yeah. If I was to tell you that, in my opinion, the Palp that I would have used in this battle was the one that fought
Yoda,
Maul and Savage at the same time and beat both of them, who would you pick?
See, I know you were thinking I'd just go, oh yeah.
It's tough. It is because
I mean, Vader had so much fucking hate for this guy. The guy took everything from him. He knew it, but yet he knew he still had to be his little slave bitch.
Yeah.
I'm still like, I don't think anyone quite had the level of anger that Darth Vader had because of how his life went based on his own choices. So
yeah, and I think I agree with you. I think that if it comes to blows, lightsaber battle, force battle, Vader wins it. But I think if you take that Palpatine, the one that you see in Clone Wars cartoon series, not just relying on his Force lightning, that is actually a pimp with a lightsaber, 2 lightsabers.
Right.
It's a fucking close
It is. It's way closer than 79 to 21.
Yeah. So
it's a fun. I could sit here and talk about these two fighting all day long because there's so many scenarios and little things you could slide in there to justify a choice. So,
and it's just like there is such a personalized hate for Palpatine on the side of Vader, and I don't think that Palp even considers Vader an equal.
No. I mean, Vader was like a little pet joke to him.
Yeah. Like it's, and I think that's what would make the difference is in the mental game. Kind of like Luke told him, is that his overconfidence is his weakness.
Right.
And I think in this matchup, he would be so, like, even at his best, he would be so dismissive of Vader, not Anakin Skywalker, not full body.
Right. No, you're
Anakin
right. I mean,
of Vader.
Again, look what happened in Return of the Jedi. He was standing right next to him. He was like, this fucking chump pussy that I've essentially gaslit for so many decades, he'll never turn on me. Look, I'm murdering his son right in front of his face. He's not going to do anything. And then look what that gave Vader the opening to literally pick him up and kill him, or pretend kill him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's this one was a particularly fun one for me
Yeah, I
to
like it.
noodle on.
I am glad my man made it out though. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
So the final matchup of the quarterfinal round is going to be Grandmaster Yoda versus Luke Skywalker.
Oh my God, that's dangerous.
So this is one. Yeah, I know, right? This is going to be an interesting one. So the winner of that matchup is going to take on Vader in the semis.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
you could have a father-son showdown.
Yeah.
You could literally have a rematch of the ROTJ battle at the end.
All right, well, it's shaping up. So like we said, depending on when you're listening, this should be in the story. So go ahead and vote. You'll know it's out there because Nick also puts up a static post reminding you to vote in the story because he will not count your votes in the comics. Read the directions, you motherfuckers.
Dude, I'm going to pat myself on the back here because I put together a really fucking good bracket.
It's working out quite well.
Because if Maul would have won that battle between Revan, you would have had Obi-Wan versus Maul rematch.
Yeah. It all worked out. And they were ready to burn your house down when they saw the first bracket. So.
Oh, yeah. They were freaking out. You have to trust
patience.
Trust the forces at work here. So,
okay.
That's the update on the Battle for the Ages. You'll have the GMY versus Luke matchup tomorrow, which is today when you're listening, Wednesday, June 3rd. And then after that, we roll into our semifinal rounds. So get ready.
Good stuff.
It's coming to a head.
Good stuff. Good job, Nick. All right. Another thing Nick has kind of started as a weekly feature here, and this is his question to the fans. And usually you put these out on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, I forgot. I usually put it up over the weekend. I forgot this weekend just with everything going on.
He drinks a lot too, so you got to.
Yeah, it's a lot of alcohol consumption.
Just excuse him. But this week's question was pretty good. It was essentially, what was it? What
is your favorite quote in the saga?
And why? And we got great responses again, so thank you to Team A-holes out there and just other casual Star Wars fans. I'm not going to call Nick's friend Phil an asshole. But thanks to those of you that do participate. Again, this is what keeps us going. We don't need the money yet. We just want the recognition, the interaction, that type of stuff. And ratings. We're still stuck at like 20-some ass ratings on iTunes. Let's go, you lazy motherfuckers.
Just go
drop a quick rating. Like now on iTunes, if you type in Star Wars podcast, we're not even on the first page. And that's I'm putting that on those of you that listen and have not rated and reviewed.
I think there's a lot of platform diversity within our listenership, though.
That's
one thing.
Yeah, I don't think we carry a strong iTunes presence.
I know that, one of our Facebook listeners, Reed, listens on Deezer, right? Like he listens on.
We got them all, so it doesn't surprise me. It's like, I guess we might as well talk about it now, but Nick and I had the best month for the show of all time. Like it wasn't even close. It trounced our last record by, I think, 1,000 downloads.
Over 1,000 downloads.
It was like, I think 3,400 total downloads with almost 3,000 uniques.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fan-fucking-tastic, my friends. And, keep it up. A new month has rolled over. And if those numbers don't start ticking up like they did in May, we're going to go sit in a corner and shake and sob and just wait for the next show. You quit fucking with our emotions is what I'm trying to say.
In between shows. So,
all right. And we include you. That's why we do the question of the fans. So Nick, you pulled what, 10 of these, something like that?
Yeah, I got 10 of these out here.
I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up the first one here.
It's kind of run the gamut. Like I expected there to be a lot of similar answers, and there were some people who had similar answers. Yeah. But there's a lot of variety, and I'll point out my favorite one when we get to it, and then Matt will also kind of give, we'll give our take on it as well. But first up here we have Agosto Toy Photography, one of our loyal listeners. He's always in the live stream chats when we have him going as well. So he gave us two answers. He says it's a trap simply because of how iconic it is and it has become. So the Admiral Akbar.
It's one of the biggest Star Wars memes out there, or just memes in general. I mean, most people, if you say it's a trap, even if they're casual fans, they know exactly what you're saying.
Oh yeah, they know the meme, they know the picture associated with the meme as well. And then he says, or I've got a bad feeling about this because I've definitely said that too many times.
Another iconic Star Wars saying for sure. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think they say that in every movie, right?
Yes,
every movie has
one character will drop it. Sometimes movies have multiple characters drop it, but it is said at least once.
Yeah, so that's Agosto's take or Agosto's take.
Next up, Mal 182.
Yeah, Mal 182. I'm a Jedi like my father before me. This is one that's come up multiple times, and I think we have another one of these with a little bit more explanation behind it further down. So the Luke Skywalker line from ROTJ, very strong. This is my favorite one right here. This is from Sir Dork. This is from one of our original goats. Your focus determines your reality. And
Jared, I'll give you some context. If you didn't listen to Sir Dork's interview when I brought him on the show, he's a Phantom Menace homer. Like, he likes it even more than I do. I mean, that is his favorite movie. So I could see why he picked this quote.
Yeah, and he says a true statement that applies to all aspects of life. Thank you, Master Qui-Gon. That one is a really strong one, and it's so overlooked.
I didn't even remember it. Like, I can't even remember. Does he say it to Obi-Wan?
He says it to little Anakin. I think. Yeah. I think it's. I can't remember because Jesus, Jared's probably going to listen to this and be like, these motherfuckers don't even remember.
Holes. They probably don't even know who Qui-Gon Jinn is.
Yeah, but I can't.
Honestly, if I was a Jedi, I would be Qui-Gon Jinn. I think that's the type of Jedi I'd be, because he's kind of a little bit of a cowboy, but he's kind of into the living force, and I think he was into maybe hitting some tail on the side.
Yeah, he said, so it's definitely said to little Anakin, because I just looked it up. But he has such a different, more balanced view.
And that's why when Filoni explained it to all his dolts what the Duel of the Fates meant, it's like Qui-Gon gets even more epic in terms of what he knew and how he acted as a Jedi during that period when, quite frankly, the Jedi all had their heads up their asses.
Yeah, I just wish, and I know that, he was meant to have a minor role, not Liam Neeson, but Qui-Gon, but like, I just wish there was more from him. I wish there was like a compendium of Qui-Gon Jinn wisdom that we could go to, or there was like
I'll tell you what, now, I would love to see. Oh, man, I got something stuck in my throat, and it is not a penis. I've either Qui-Gon and Obi, when Obi was like a real Padawan, or Qui-Gon and Dooku.
That would be fucking
because
awesome.
didn't Dooku train Qui-Gon?
Yeah, and then Dooku was trained by Yoda.
Right, so I would. Yeah. Disney Plus would be a fantastic home for any of this shit, but it's probably not going to happen.
Anything animated to bring Qui-Gon back, or even if you just get Liam to do some voiceover training to Obi-Wan in the Kenobi series. Like, we know that there was a Force connection between those two that was used for training purposes during the time between episodes 3 and episodes 4. Like, we need more of that Qui-Gon wisdom to be passed on to the fandom. Like, it just needs to be there. So, excellent pick here by Sir Dork. Beautiful one. So, this one here is from Tones, and he gives a story behind it. He says, one night heading up to bed, my wife, who was already in bed, shouted down, "Lock the door." And he says, now myself and both my sons are huge Star Wars fans. My wife, however, has never watched any of the movies. While walking up the stairs, I replied, and hope they don't have blasters. To hear both of my boys laughing warmed my heart. To see the blank puzzled look on my wife's face, priceless. Since then, lock the door and hope they don't have blasters has always had a different meaning since that night. That's great.
So I mean, there really is nothing better than sharing Star Wars with your own family. I actually, on my calendar, I think it happened a few days ago. It's a yearly reminder now, but it happened last year. I was leaving to go to a movie, and unprompted, my 3-year-old, and we had never said this before when someone would leave, but she looks at me and she goes, "Daddy, may the Force be with you." It knocked me on my ass. I was like, "Oh my God, I might start crying right now." But it's just like, I know exactly what Tones is saying and why that quote would stand out to him. I mean, that stuff, it sticks with you as a parent. I mean, I literally have a reminder now every year to remind me of that moment, just so I can kind of reflect on it again.
Yeah.
So good one there, Tones. That was thanks for sharing.
Beautiful story.
Right.
Yeah. So
up next, we got Ronan 314.
Yep. May the force be with
there
you.
You go.
Reason says everything without saying anything. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, it is. It's a great way to just kind of, let another person know, like, hey, man, good luck to you. Peace be with you. That type of shit. So
yeah,
he is right. It is a great catch-all kind of sign off.
Even so much so that fucking Han throws one at Luke right before the battle above Yavin 4.
Exactly.
So
I mean, it's how we end the show. I mean, it is super iconic. So good one there, Ronan 314.
Mm-hmm.
Up next,
Dark Side.
There we go.
25. Mos Eisley Spaceport. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best
his
line
reason, though, is it was an awesome line delivered by Alec, and I do love how Alec says it.
Yeah, that's got to be his best delivery of the whole trilogy.
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
You can apply that just to, like, as a casual Star Wars fan, you can apply that to so many different things in life. Like if you're going to like a shitty dive bar, it's like you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Like you can just use it. It's just an easy line to use. Perfect delivery by Alec, and it sets up and just the way that cut happens. Like he says that on the ridge overlooking Mos Eisley, and then the series of events that happens leading up to it.
It's nothing. They literally run right into scum and villainy as soon as they get there.
Bang! It was perfect. So yes, that's a very good
there.
pick.
Lord Bev.
Lord Bev has two. He says, wars not make one great, and the greatest teacher failure is. So this is two Yoda lines. And I mean, they're very powerful quotes. And it's something that we should probably think on and really stew on as a society more.
Oh, yeah. We fail almost daily here in America. And so far we can't really learn from any of that.
Exactly. We don't really learn from it. And wars, whether it be against other nations or against, people, they do not.
A nation's own people. It's kind of where we're at these days. Yay.
That is not what makes a nation or a group of people great.
USA. Fuck it. All right.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Nice one, Lord Bev.
Good picks there by Lord Bev.
Holy action figure noob. We got a story here.
Gives us a very lengthy breakdown. So I'm going to read it to you. So action figure noob says, it's basically the Yoda line.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Yes. And he says, Yoda's quote is very captivating, not only because it's a preface to what Anakin will become in the saga, but also in a sense that it has a very direct chain of emotions that I think we very often see in the real world, even now. I think fear is an emotion that everyone instinctively has, more specifically fear of loss. We fear we lose someone we care for, a job that sustains us, emotions like love or happiness, loss of freedom, etc. Fear can lead you to be angry to the point where you can put blame on someone, to either yourself or others, which in turn could lead to hating oneself or others. From that, you suffer with emotions on how that all came to be, with cries of, why did this happen to me? And it says, or what did I do to deserve this? You end up feeling so down a rabbit hole that you can't seem to get out of it. Hope has been seemingly lost. It's such a very humanized quote coming from a non-human fantasy character.
Shit. This guy must be like an English professor or something. Like that's a very deep take on it, a very true take. I mean, I believe, or I'm behind him 100% on all this type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I put the why on all of the questions because I do want people to think about it. It's fine if you just throw out the quote and, or the lightsaber color or whatever. But like the why behind it is what's really interesting to me. And Action Figure Noob did fucking an incredible job of not only picking an incredible quote, but breaking it down and really showing.
He gave us a little dissertation. I love it. Keep it up.
Yeah,
I mean, we're all about this level of participation, my friends. I mean, when I read that again, it instantly took me back to the trailer for TPM and you know how it got my nipples all hard back then, and I think '98.
Yeah,
because that's really was one of the main things from the trailer. He would leave with that, and then you get that da-da-doom, and you see the Gungans rolling out, and you're all like, "Oh my god, what's gonna fucking happen in this movie? I can't fucking wait!"
Yeah, dude, it was
so that's fantastic, action figure noob. Thank you for your thoughts.
Yeah. So Baron's Black Series. So Spencer says this is where the fun begins, and he says "cause it is." So that's the line. Episode 3, Anakin when they're in the starships. And then he says, from a certain point of view, it explains so many plot holes. That was basically George's get out of jail free
it was.
card.
I mean, George definitely, the guy always has foresight. He knew to write that way back in the 70s, because when he came back and redid everything in the prequels, he didn't have to stick to anything he had in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, even saving himself in 77 and 77 back in 83,
right.
Obi-Wan says to Luke, he's like, I didn't lie to you from a certain point of view, he's
technically not your dad. Like Anakin was kind of snuffed out by this Vader guy.
Anakin ceased to be, and Darth Vader,
Obi-Wan, what a dick.
He did. He really kind of fucked with him there.
What a liar. Man, they both just lied to him so he'd go kill his dad.
Yeah, so fucked up. But anyway, so those are 2 quotes from Barron's. Then Phil, my buddy Phil on Facebook, also went with the "I'm a Jedi like my father before me." He says it's Luke's moment of final defiance to the Emperor and rejecting the dark side, and I'd argue it's a major point in Vader's conversion. Yeah. So strong point there for the.
I do. That is a great line. I mean, I'm not going to take it. I know, because you wanted us to do a line too, right?
Yeah, if you had to pick one.
I mean, I'd probably, that's up there too. I mean, anything that happens in the throne room between Luke and Vader is life to me. Like that to me is the most impactful moments, scenes in all of Star Wars. I don't know if it's like father-son shit with my own dad, but that stuff is huge to me. But I'll go with another one that my dad liked to use a lot, and I don't know if I believe in it now. Because if you think about it, it's kind of fucked up. But do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah.
Which Yoda's essentially saying, if you can't do something, don't even try it, which is odd, because how do you know if you can't do something if you don't try it? But the message behind the saying is strong. Essentially, if you're going to commit to something, don't half-ass it. Fucking give it your all. I mean, that's what Yoda was saying, but really, if you parse his words, he's essentially saying, if you can't do something, don't even fucking try doing something. So. Yeah,
I think that he was probably going for that. He's like, don't go into something with the mentality of failure.
Exactly.
Because I think that's what Luke did when he was trying to pull the ship out of the bog.
Right, and then even Luke, and he's like, and then Yoda's like, well, and this is why you fail.
Yeah, in his mind, he's already failed because of that.
Right. So that would be mine. I mean, that is a huge mantra for my father. So
yeah, I mean that was gonna be mine. So I'll
sorry.
No, it's all good. I had one in the back of my head, and it's weird because I just I don't know if I'm drawing parallels there that aren't there, but when in the throne room right before,
I know what it is. I wish I could wish it all away.
That was it, right there.
Knew it.
In AOTC.
He loves that dinner scene.
I love that movie. I love the scene. I love the little fat things. I love the meadow. I love floating the pear across to her so she can cut it with her knife.
I just like wishing on wishes.
Yeah. But I was going to say, it's... When the Emperor says to Luke, he's on the ground defeated, he's about to shock him, he says, now, young Skywalker, you will die. I think I look at that, and I can kind of look at it 2 ways, because there's 2 Skywalkers in that room. And I really think that in that moment, the Emperor could feel that there was still some Anakin Skywalker left in Vader.
Ah, all right.
And really,
I can buy that.
It wasn't just a communication to Luke. He's like, he did still think that Vader was his puppet, but he's like, I'm going to snuff out the last bit of Skywalker that is left in you.
Well, yeah, well, you sitting here watching your son die at my hands is going to kill any of your humanity, period.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. So it's like, you're kind of like, it builds from what Phil said, I am a Jedi like my father before me. That might have got the wheels turning in Anakin's head. But that line right there where the Emperor essentially taunts Luke with, as Nick's saying, a back-end taunt to Vader. I mean, that's where Vader starts doing the look. All right, you're gone.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost right after he makes that final threat that he's like, okay, I can't sit by and watch this happen.
Yeah, it's that final piece of Anakin Skywalker that saved his son. And, that's what Palpatine's ultimate goal was to eradicate Anakin Skywalker.
I like that. I like that spin. I can totally buy into that. So, all right, man, good stuff. Another good question of the week segment. But that now means we got to switch up screens and bring our browser back. There it is, and get rid of Slack. Here we go. Because it is time for the top 5 Star Wars Fan Hours features of the week, +1 this time. So let me pull that up for you. Go ahead, Nick, kick her off.
Yes. So first up this week for the top 5, we have Rust Belt Collector at Rust Belt Collector on Instagram it's a really cool, I love wartime stormtrooper shots.
And this is Rust Belt's thing is war, battle shots. This is the guy who's talking about that I think spent $800 on new troopers last week just to build his army up. So
I'm excited to see what he does with them too, because like after seeing a shot like this, so what we see is General Veers leading a group of Mimban stormtroopers through the battlefield, and and then you put the hashtag on it, make Solo 2 happen. So, I mean, I just think it's really cool the way that he's got Veer's position, arm pointing out, ordering his troops forward. You see the troops in the background moving forward, even a dead trooper down on the ground, like pushing through all of this. Chaos
it looks
battle.
like, I mean, he's got 2 straight up Mimban stormtroopers. It looks like he's got a custom sand trooper he turned into a Mimban. And then you gotta love the coat he threw on Maximilian there. I mean that's not standard. That's a little added touch Rust Belt gave. And then even placing another traditional mud trooper kind of almost out of frame there really sells the battle scene. Obviously the charge pose, the aerosol or the smoke in there.
If you look at the background too, the back right,
AT-AT foot.
A fallen AT-AT foot. I mean. The level of detail that Rust Belt went into with this shot was absolutely incredible. Just like you mentioned, the mud trooper in the background, the AT-AT foot in the background, the really great use of smoke, whether it be atmosphere aerosol or not, and just the position of Veers himself.
Yep. It's I mean, I don't want to say he's doing Papa Palpatine stuff, but it feels like one of those shots. It's out there. It looks like Rust Belt dug his own little trench, just probably out in the backyard in the woods by the house. Brings out a buttload of troopers, sets them all up. I mean, unlike my shots, he tends to use a lot of figures to really bring the scene to life. It is a battlefield scene. I'm still just the static portrait guy, and that's fine. I'm gonna settle into that niche. Maybe it'll make life easier for me. It's a great shot, and this is, like I said, this is Rust Belt's specialty. Especially the Mimban stuff. I mean, he's all about the mud troopers, the Mimban troopers, and again, I love this Veers. That jacket is so Veers. I feel like he should be wearing it in Empire on the AT-AT.
Inside of the AT-AT,
just like a fucking duster, looking like a badass. So great work there, Rust Belt.
Yep, at Rust Belt Collector on Instagram. Next up, we have. Remember the Clone Troopers at
brother of
_clone
Triple P.
Troopers. Yes, Papa Palpatine's brother. And I mean, remember the Clone Troopers. We every time we feature them is, of course, using Clone Troopers or Stormtroopers in a shot. But he brings in an extra special character for this one. Brings in the Darth Revan shot. And it's just it's so good, dude. The positioning he has on this character, the post-processing to put the lightning effects off of the lightsaber. Holy shit.
It's fantastic. The first thing I want to point out for other collectors here is the custom soft goods on this Revan are life. Because Nick, the standard Revan, like his head is sealed into a rubber like condom like hood.
Yeah.
So with what Remember's got going here, he's got way more freedom to pose. He can move the head actually. Obviously, the cape's flared up to simulate movement. But if you go look at the behind the scenes of this shot, I believe the idea from Remember the Clones, and if you are listening, hopefully you are, go ahead and give us some feedback, or Triple P, if you're listening, give us some feedback. I think the idea behind this shot is that it's taking place in 0G.
Okay.
So if you go look at the behind the scenes, that Jedi in the back is actually like just floating in a corridor, and Revan is almost ninja running off a wall.
Yeah, I see that.
Using like the lack of gravity to his advantage, which just takes the shot to a whole nother level, because it's not just sitting fuckers up, like me, marching them, hey, let's take a picture. I mean, he's got these things, pose, camera perspectives tilted to make it look like he's running on the wall. And like I said, I think that's an Obi-Wan figure back there floating, but it's just going to, it's a dead Jedi. Yeah. So I love the idea. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I do believe that the idea here of this shot is that Revan is essentially has infiltrated a Jedi starship, taken out its gravity, and is just going through the halls, lighting people up.
Just fucking cutting people down. Oh, dude, that's
at least in my head, that's the story this image told me. So
yeah. Even if it's made up in your head, it's a fucking incredible story.
Nick, I've always said that. That's you have a good toy shot when you look at it and you can either feel the characters alive or there is some sort of story to behold. And that's what I'm getting from this Remember the Clone Trooper shot here.
100. This makes me want to boot my you
want to play the game, right?
Fucking KOTOR back up. Yeah. I really fucking hope that somehow we get a KOTOR remake using Unreal 5.
Oh my God.
I don't care how much it costs.
They don't even have to redo the dialogue for me, Nick. They don't have to redo the missions. Just update the graphics and the controls, and that's it. That's all all we need. And I think I think people would buy it in spades, no doubt.
Yeah, 100%. So at remember_the_clone_troopers, killer photographer, killer shot. Absolutely well done.
I knew you'd pick this next one. I mean, you love this artist.
I don't know if I featured this artist before.
Oh, we have. The first time I shared, I believe it's a female, but the first time we shared it, I think you featured a top fiver, and now this is the second time I've shared her, and you bump her right up to the top 5. And I don't blame you, man. I'm looking at this shot right now, and I want to be held by both of them right now. We're looking at Ben Solo and Rey embracing. He's got the Skywalker saber, but it's now orange.
Yellow.
She's got hers. It's double bladed in yellow, and they're embraced. I mean, it's a Reylo piece, but I want to be held by them. Like I want them to be my mom and dad. That's what this shot makes me feel, right? Dude.
It's just it's the artist is I Am Drowning in the Rain, all one word on Instagram at I Am Drowning in the Rain. And she is a huge, I think her name is Taven, at least on here. She's listed as Taven Astra, a Canadian fan artist. And she is a huge Reylo fan. I can see that. Actually, I see the first one that we featured. But this one here, I think like even as far as, I don't know how she posted this one. The first one we featured March 3rd. This one she posted up May 11th. I mean, just like, her style of art is so visually,
it's crazy
in capturing and rapturing whatever. Like Daisy's face, Rey's face
perfect.
Looks
perfect. It looks like a fucking picture.
Yeah, it's incredible the level of detail that Taven is able to put into these art pieces, and then like you pointed out, just the nods to what the Reylos out there would have wanted. The Skywalker family blade with the yellow lightsaber
I mean, even look
color.
At I even like their outfits. I mean, I hate saying outfits as a man, but Kylo's is great. I mean, it's the black tunic, kind of almost Anakin style.
Yeah,
a lot of gray in both of them. I guess riding on the gray Jedi motif or the gray Force user. But like you said, it's just the clarity of the drawing and how lifelike or real they look. It's absolutely bonkers. And we say this all the time. We stumble over our tongues when we try to talk about real art. And all this is real art. I'm talking about traditional pen, pencils, markers, paint, whatever. Unbelievable. My brain, I can feel it breaking down right now trying to figure out how something like this is created with your hands.
Yeah. And I mean, this so Taven has a Redbubble page where you can actually buy some stuff. So if you people out there are looking at this top 5, this photo from I Am Drowning in the Rain, go to her. We keep saying her. I assume it's a female, but it could be male. So go to their page, their Redbubble page. You can buy a mask if you need one. You can buy a Raylo print and actually like hang it up on your wall. You can buy a T-shirt that's got it on there, stickers, a lot of different things.
Dude, I'm like mesmerized by their eyes. Like if you just stare at their eyes, you feel like they're looking into your soul.
I know. And it's just like the smallest highlights are what bring those eyes to life.
It's like I feel like they want me to come in and hug them, right? Like it's like they're looking at me like, come here, you want some of this? You want to get in on this?
I mean, it's
fantastic. Fantastic.
Whenever you feature, I don't know how this artist only has less than 3,500 followers when this piece that we're featuring right now has over 10,000 likes on her page. Like, how do you like this photo?
It's an odd,
or this piece of art?
It's like people see her work and then don't follow. It's odd. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And then like there's another one, just like if you look at just 5 days after she posted this one, there's like a wedding like piece that she put together. It's incredible. I Am Drowning in the Rain. Go follow this person right now. She even posts
the wedding.
Like,
they're getting married at Naboo, right where Anakin and Padme did.
Yeah, I mean, like she even has a process pull, or not a pull, but like a process highlight on her feed where you can see through and you can see like the sketch from just the line drawings to where the color gets added in and everything else. I mean, she is an absolutely
great stuff. It really is just fantastic stuff. Yeah. So I don't think she uses the tag, so that's why these don't get featured as often. Because at this point in time, I'm not no bullshit here. Enough people use the tag that I no longer have to go out and search. I still some days will spend some time and explore to see if it's just to find some new people. But if I come across stuff like this, tag or no tag, it's getting featured. I mean, the same that goes for like Daz Tibble and all those other motherfuckers that don't use the tag, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah. We are down with I Am Drowning in the Rain. Fantastic stuff.
Beautiful. All right, next up we have a second sister shot here from @sunset_doom on Instagram.
He was just recently featured in the top 5, I believe.
I think he was not too long, maybe like 3 ago or something like that. But second sister is such a really cool visual character.
She is. I do like that. I mean, helmets in Star Wars that light up, fucking own.
Yeah,
they own.
You can't deny that. And it's that clean Imperial motif with that really makes this character stand out.
Yep.
First off, bomb ass cape that she's wearing. It's a rain shot, so the figure is covered in water droplets. You have a really good animation of the light source in the helmet and on the wrist guards. Just overall, it's a very menacing looking shot of this character. And if you've played Jedi Fallen Order, then you know that the second sister fights can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So,
especially if you don't play it on dummy like I do.
Yeah. So it's a really cool shot with a really cool figure. So
I dig it too. I mean, Sunset, he's one of those accounts, great user of the Star Wars Time Show hashtag. And really, I mean, IG loves Sunset. I mean, a lot of his shots are doing 7, 8, 9,000, and for good reason. I mean, it's just a great shot. I mean, it's kind of my stuff, right? Nice and static portrait where the focus is on the character, not so much with all the snazzy effects and explosions. It's just, I mean, it's a shot that you'll stop and look at. It's one of those, if you're scrolling, it's going to make you stop and look. And that usually is the case with @sunset_doom when he's dropping his Star Wars stuff. And all the stuff is my favorite. Literally, I think it's in his front yard. Doesn't really change shit. Uses a little reflection disc and his hose.
There you go. Here we go. That's all you need sometimes.
Yep. Sometimes it really is. I mean, I put out a shot last night of Din and the child.
Yep.
Just very basic, out my yard. A lot of people are like, oh man, this is quality. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys are crazy. It's like some fucking shit shot I did on the side of my house. I don't get it anymore. I really just, I don't get anything anymore. I mean, there's shots I'm like, should I even share this? Should I delete it? And I'll share it. And people are like, oh, wow, this is great. And I'm like, what? What the fuck? Maybe I am an asshole, but Sunset Doom is not. So make sure to check him out on IG, Sunset_Doom.
So the last one here for the Nick top 5 before we get into the Matt top 1 is from @the_Ramvar. And it's a scene recreation shot, except it's slightly different than the actual scene. So what we're seeing is basically the end of TFA, beginning of TLJ. You see Rey on Acto the scene shows her handing the lightsaber to Grandmaster Luke in his white Jedi garb as he's standing looking over Cliff. But in the shot from Ramvar, it's actually Luke handing the lightsaber back to Rey, which is not what we got in TLJ. He kind of throws it over his shoulder. Right. So he may be doing a little bit of a retelling of this scene. It's an all
take on the scene.
Yeah, it's a deleted scene. So what really makes the shot though is I don't know where the Ramvar lives, but if this is a natural light shot like you put in there, and this is like an on location, the cliffside that he's on and the sunset that he captured with this shot is beautiful.
Yeah, because you featured a shot I would assume is from the same location again a few episodes back, but it's just, for me it's just the natural light. I mean, you can tell there's no artificial light on these things. This is probably being taken at dusk. You got that amazing cloudy sunset, but still the colors those clouds kind of make the sun reflect are really add to the shot. And then just the poses are great. I don't know. I mean, it's simple and sweet, but it's just, I don't know, man. I think it is just the natural setting that did it for me.
Oh yeah, it's sometimes, like you said, the simplest setups are what you get your best stuff out of, and this is an example of that. Just well executed, well posed as well. We
can't all be Sergeant Bananas and Plastic Actions and Jason B. Michaels that build these and those Rains that build these elaborate dioramas and shoot them and they look fantastic. Sometimes it's nice to just know that if you look around, Mother Nature can give you some pretty banging looking backdrops and dioramas.
Absolutely.
Sometimes though the light doesn't play, so that's why I really appreciate the shot. Getting that natural light to play with you when you want it to, in the framing you have, doesn't always go the way you plan. That's why you cheat with the other artificial lights. But that's what drew me to this one. It's just that sunset, and then just kind of how the figures aren't super bright. They are kind of muted looking. It's beautiful stuff from _Ramvar.
Yes. And that brings us to your top one of this week.
The top one.
That was a bit of a tease earlier with the question and answer segment.
He made the question segment. Now he's going to make, wait for it, the top one. That's right. We're talking about @97_parsecs_photography. I believe a relatively new account, but a busy account. I mean, I'm talking this guy got bit by the bug and has been posting daily, if not multiple images per day, really for the past few months. But I had to go with this shot, Nick, because it's such a fantastic mashup. And if you're just listening to the audio version, what we're looking at here is there's a trench with Darth Maul in it, and some stormtroopers. But Darth Maul is riding on the back of a raptor. Yeah. Like a fucking dinosaur raptor. Okay? And as he's riding through, the raptor's about to chew on a bucket head. Maul is cutting off another trooper's head from atop the Raptor, and then you got a shore trooper kind of leading the let's get the fuck out of here charge.
Yeah.
There's something about seeing Darth Maul on a Raptor with a red eye that just seemed right. Like that seemed so Darth Maul that I could actually see this happening. I want to see Darth Maul ride a Raptor.
Dude, after battling all those creatures on Dathomir in Jedi Fallen Order, it wouldn't surprise me that if on like somewhere on that planet there is a dinosaur like creature that he could do this on.
Looks. I mean, Maul looks so natural atop a Raptor. I can't even. I mean, you have to go look at the video version or go to StarWarsTime.net and check out the top 5 posts. It's just a great mashup. And really, I mean, 97 parsecs photography is good setup. The posing's right. I like how it looks like the Raptor is reaching and clawing at and getting ready to chew on that sand trooper, and then obviously staging the other trooper's head up in the air after Maul swiped it off is a nice touch. It elicits that action of Maul riding through a trench on a dino, slashing heads as other troopers are running for their life. So I loved everything about this image here from @97_parsecs_photography.
Yes, and that brings us to the end of the top 5+1, and that brings us to the end of this week's show.
That's it. I'm gonna get it in before 2.5 hours. That is a relief. I think at this point in time, my wife's gonna start killing me for these long shows, but hey, we will get through it. This is how we do it. And now it is time for the dance. That's right. We're going to head on over to StarWarsTime.net. I should have it pulled up here somewhere. There it is. Look at that, StarWarsTime.net, where you can get all relevant Star Wars news that you need to know from the bros. That's right. And while you're here, you can also get yourself linked up to the podcast. If you're not already following, shame on you. Just pick your platform. StarWarsTime.net. Scroll down. You got on the side, or you can go right up the top, subscribe to podcasts. And yes, we truly do have them all. If you don't like podcasts, platforms and you'd rather look at our fat faces, make sure to hit the subscribe to YouTube link on StarWarsTime.net, because really that's what we need you to do. As I said throughout the show, reviews, ratings, likes, comments, shares. That is the support that drives the show. That is the support that has gotten us thousands and thousands of downloads a month. I mean, let's be real. 3,400 downloads of 4 shows still isn't big in terms of the industry, in terms of getting recognition, in terms of Disney and Lucasfilm looking at us and going, hey, that's a viable platform to try to promote something, or Hasbro. But it's a great fucking start. It's way better than April was. It's better than March. It's better than February. It's better than January. Hell, it might have been a combination of 2 of those months. And that's because of the loyal Star Wars Time Show fans. Nick and I have nothing to do with the success of the show. We put out the crappy content. You guys are the ones that buy it and sell it to other Star Wars dopes. So keep it up. We want to see those numbers go up. We want more interactions. We want more fans responding to our question of the week. It keeps us going. Remember, we're Tinkerbells, or at least I am. We need the claps. We need the love. It's not about the money. It's about the love. But you got to help us out, because I can only rate and review my own podcast so many times. Right, Nick? We can only rate and review under our own account so many times. I'm tired of making bot accounts, fake accounts, paying Russians to like our show. Let's go. We've got 5,000 plus of you on IG. Even if 10% of you leave a rating on iTunes, we're going to rocket up those charts. We will be the only Star Wars podcast that shows up in search. In all seriousness, though, my friends, it does mean a lot. We appreciate you. Thank you for May. Hopefully June gets there. I have a great feeling, or a bad feeling, right? I have a bad feeling about this. I don't think June will capture May's numbers, but that's just because more people are leaving their lockdown because, hey, the virus has magically disappeared, supposedly. And it's the summer, so there's more people probably sitting outside getting drunk, smoking weed, doing whatever, and not listening to our dumbasses talk about really just bullshit at this point in time, because it's not like there's a lot of speculative news coming out in the land of Star Wars, but that's what we do. We love it. We'll sit here and talk blue in the face with you every week, because we are the Star Wars Time Show, and there is always time for Star Wars time. And remember, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.